Oh, it came straight in. I think I pressed the wrong buttons, but we're in. Hello, welcome. We're playing Avatar Legends.
We packed the Gibson.
I for some reason the thing is it's supposed to do a little roll for it logo, and it just didn't happen. I think I didn't press.
Way
it right.
to mess it up.
I ruined it. But we're doing it. We're doing it live. But welcome. We are Rolfrit, and we're playing Avatar Legends RPG back for episode 2. And we got a few announcements to get through before we get started today. Thank you to Thunder
We have
Cabbage.
a distracted elf. We have an elf to distract us.
Yeah, we do.
Hello,
distracted
hello.
elf.
I'm here to distract you.
Actually, I think your
thematic.
character is.
Yeah. As is thematic to the intro and to our sessions, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, don't let me interrupt the announcements, Phantom. Go ahead.
All right. We have a supporter for today. Thank you to Thunder Cabbage for supporting today's episode and helping us out to run these
I was
awesome
like,
shows.
it was like Bonsai has a cabbage. Ready at the ready.
Best prop game. I am defeated. We have some stuff happening on the Patreon at the moment. We have the final GM secrets for Mage, the show that came before this one, are all out now. All of the secret behind the scenes stuff that E was working on is now available for you to check out. The map with all the secrets on it, the timeline with all the secrets in it, and also the character sheet of the enemy that we faced, that I will not spoil in case you haven't seen the show, but you can check all that out on the Patreon now if you do want spoilers or if you've already seen it. We've got a bunch of other stuff coming as well. We got a monthly recap on the way, and we have lots of Ascension stuff coming in, including a character sheet for latest guest played by Patrick Static, and loads of GM stuff from EE. Once we've got through, we're currently working our way through a huge dungeon. When it's over, I imagine he'll be giving us the map and a lot of the details about the secrets in there, all the traps that I didn't stumble into, which will be a short list compared
We were
to
being so careful, and then the one hallway that you don't have me scout, you just walk in. Totally mushrooms.
Yep, no, definitely mushrooms, not
Definitely
blow
mushrooms.
darts. Don't know what you're talking about. I was tricked. I will never trust again. But there's plenty of stuff coming on Patreon. Too many things. I can't even find all the time to put them on. But just keep an eye out and we'll tweet about them.
Oh my
as they
gosh,
happen.
someone has the clip ready at hand. Thank you. That's so good.
Nice. We are also sponsored by Roll20. We use Roll20 for all the games we run, basically. It's a great way to play RPGs of all different kinds online with your friends, because it's got support for all kinds of character sheets, including some character sheets for the Avatar Legends RPG. They're a little bit rough around the edges in places. They as it turns out, they're slightly outdated, but then the RPG's been actively worked on, so that's fair. But they do the job, and it's great. People just make them. People just make sheets for RPGs, and most of the time when we go to play a game, we'll go and check, and Roll20 will already have a sheet in there, in their list. And then if it doesn't, you can probably find someone who's submitted the code for one already that you can use. So it's super great for that. So that's what we're using today. We sometimes do giveaways of stuff on Roll20 that you can check out. Usually we tweet about it, and usually ends up being the pin tweet while there's any giveaways going on. So that's where you can check if you want to see if there's any happening at the moment.
I gotta reach out to them about more goodies for you guys.
Also, another Patreon thing is soon, in the next week or so, we're going to be putting up a post where you need to submit some details to get a special gift as a Patreon supporter in the coming month. You might have an idea about what it is if you've been around long enough, but there'll be a form or something, so keep an eye out for that, and make sure to fill it in if you get it promptly, to make sure you get the thing, the secret thing. Also, we talked about this on our show on Thursday, but as you may be aware, or maybe you aren't, as it turns out, Streamlabs are meanies, big old meanies, and have been up to some shenanigans which we've been finding out about on Twitter, and so we're planning to change our alerts to a different service, which will work out. But for now, we still have the cup and all that kind of thing, so. You can enjoy the Bit Cup while it lasts. Maybe we won't have one soon, but for now we do. But we'll try and find a company that's a bit more nice and Now I'm more like, what can I say what they do and can't do that won't get me? I'm just gonna, you know, you can just go look at Twitter. You can just go find out. But yeah, they're like, we thought we'd try an alternative, as many currently are. So yeah, we'll change it, but we don't know what to do for now. So in the meantime, we'll keep the old stuff up, and you can.
We'll try to do it before the beginning of next year, and we're talking with a few different people. We'll see. Maybe we can get a sponsorship. Looking for something. Holla. No.
It's a great time to be a Streamlabs competitor right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is all the announcements for now. So let's hand it over to our GM, Simon, and get on with this. Bring in our new member of the team.
Yeah, very excited to have our final companion with us today and for the rest of the game. You'll get to meet our illustrious successor. So we have to recap
our delightful companion.
It's so delightful.
Yeah, we have a hammer, we have a bold, we have a guardian, and now we have a successor. So each of these playbooks is very different storylines and narrative arcs. Everyone else, you've kind of gotten a sense of who they are if you've watched the first episode. In this episode, we're going to learn what's up with the successor, who's someone who's trying to balance their family, who is powerful and potentially dangerous, and they're balancing their obligations to their lineage, which they still feel sort of connected to, but also maybe things can be different, maybe things can be better, maybe we can do things in a different way. I don't know. Let's see, where should we start? Elf, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you're playing today?
I can certainly do so. Yes. I'm playing Delight, as you said, successor. She's Delight Chen, so maybe the Chens have come up. I'm sure Quan has mentioned Delight already. And she's sort of a tech focused oddball a little bit in her family line. She prefers getting a little messy than, dressing up and going to high society events. But her family is very influential in Ba Sing Se. She's a little bit spacey and generally doesn't think too much about what she's doing before she does it. But she does care deeply about, her family and the people around her and the city as a whole, and wants to see things like move in a good direction. Is there anything in particular you'd like to know, Simon, that I didn't mention?
Let's see. That's all a really good spread of things. So your family, the Chens, what we know from your playbook lets you kind of determine what your lineage is, like domains are and what resources they have to bear. So what kind of businesses are the Chens in?
So the Chens are like a very entrenched high society family. So they're like well-to-do in Ba Sing Se, and they're moving into like military command stuff. And though they're mostly war deniers, some of them know the truth, I think, the higher end. They generally have access, like I have access to stuff through them because of my playbook, and the resources that they have available are high technology and cold hard cash. So they're just very, very entrenched, and the idea is that they're developing these new weapons that could be used for good or for ill, and that's how they're sort of like moving into the military side of things in Ba Sing Se.
Sort of like war profiteering behind closed doors.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll find out kind of how that plays out and what's going on there. Quickly too, there's some people in your family that we care about in the game storyline. So obviously the head of your lineage we establish is Song Chen, who is
Song
the
Chen,
sort of the
yeah.
patriarch, right? And it seems like you love and frustrate each other in the sense that, like, obviously you're his daughter, he probably cares about you, but also you're not following in the path that he might have hoped you would, which is like, you know, courtly noblewoman, right?
Like
Yeah,
every Asian families.
yeah,
is.
yeah,
I'm just
pretty
kidding.
much. But I
My
also
mom
think,
still's like, when are you going to use your degree?
but I think also it's a matter of like, yeah, she has a specific, you know, Song Chen has a desire for Delight that is like less bold than she would personally like.
Mm-hmm.
And that she's the youngest member of the like Chen family. So she's kind of like, to forge her own identity has been like a big deal for her, given that, like, you know, elder siblings and the trouble that comes with like that sort of demand upon you.
Yeah, awesome. And then I don't know if you have the answer for this yet, but what close member of your lineage wants to revolutionize it? Do you not know yet?
I think it's actually her eldest brother.
Okay, awesome.
Is just as sort of like off kilter as she is in terms of like Song's expectations. And I actually think that he's the mind behind a lot of the high technology that is being like used by the family to position themselves like in a more like militaristic light.
Okay.
I don't know what his name is yet because I didn't think of that before.
That's fine. We'll figure it out.
But I definitely think he's sort of like the family's like head, you know, engineer or like head scientist when it comes to that stuff, and he has thoughts about how his you know, what do you call it, his inventions are being used, but he also is like more dedicated to the family than to that apprehension.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So we'll see how that kind of, you know, potential ally. Sometimes you butt heads. You're both conflicted. It sounds like, which is great.
Yeah.
And it's a good conflict to be in. And we'll sort of find out like what parts of the family you really do like and what parts you're just like, God, if we could just not do any of this, or like, how do we do better?
I definitely think Delight has like several siblings. You know, she's in a a family of like 5 or 6. So when I say eldest,
big family, got it. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So with that in mind, we're gonna jump kind of back for a second.
Back in time,
Back in time a little bit, and also like zoom out meta level, because there's some characters that have beginning of session moves, and the only one that I think we have in the group is the Guardian. So for Quan, you at the during last session, since Delight wasn't here, you had to choose a ward who was someone else.
Present, yes.
Who was Chi.
Which
so
honestly, Chi was doing all right. I feel like John needed more assistance than Chi did.
Yes. So by the end of the session,
but
you can,
as I said, he was not going to listen to me. And guess what? Later down the line, he did not listen to me.
Right. You can swap off at any time, kind of who's who. So this session, we're going to swap you over to Delight, obviously, because Delight is technically like your charge.
Welcome back.
So now at the beginning of my session, I have to answer these questions and I get +1 for everyone. So my first question is, do I believe that Delight listens to me more often than not? No, I don't think I'm getting a +1 for that. Have you recently protected them or helped them with a problem? I would say probably that I did, but maybe not in this last session.
You know, we have the backfill of context of like that I managed to slip away or what have you during our lower city escapades. I can only imagine I managed to do that because you helped me. Like, probably, you know, I can't see Delight being the person who's like, I will separate from the group and sneakily ditch if she wasn't sort of prompted to do so.
Yeah, so we'll give you the +1 for that for sure.
Find her for sure.
Yeah.
And then the next one, so I get the +1 for that. And then the last one I have is there an immediate threat to your ward that you are aware of? And I guess she's grounded. I don't know if that counts as like an immediate threat. But she's probably in trouble with her father, and I probably do
definitely
need to
gonna be in trouble.
assist with like explaining that she shouldn't be grounded.
Yeah, plus you also know that Li Zhang, the Minister of Morale in Ba Sing Se, like saw you all face to face, and
Yeah.
in the chaos of trying to escape that tea house, Delight accidentally destroyed this alchemical device that was synthesizing
My bad.
this ruby jasmine into some kind of tea. So like in a way, like you've got two things, right? You've got that, and also whatever pain and suffering the family may or may not bring down
the
on you.
not so like horrible threat, and then the like glooming threat that is potential,
this very abstract threat that's like, well, how do we even start? Right. So I would give you the +1 for that too. So go ahead and roll and add it +2.
All
And
right,
we'll find out how connected you are.
Full success. So on a 10 plus, I get to hold 2 of these.
Yes.
I get to I don't have to pick which ones I want to do right now.
Exactly. Hold, whenever you gain hold, it means that you have a resource that's sort of floating. Usually when a move determines that you have hold, it's meant to be spent kind of within an immediate context, but sort of within a scene. Like if you're trying to gather some clues, you might get some hold while you're investigating a crime scene. You can spend that to like ask a question about something or whatever. In this case, it's long term.
Specific to Delight. Yeah. So
right. This is specific to Delight.
And to give people context again, if you didn't remember last week or you're first tuning in today, you know, it's episodic, so you didn't have to watch last time. We'll fill you in. But I can take a 10 plus on any move to defend or protect them. I can track them down even if they are hidden or avoiding you, which would have been useful for last episode, let me tell you.
Sorry,
and then, I did eventually figure it out. I was asking people around where they've seen you, but I got a messenger that told me that you were grounded. And then figure out what they're up to without them knowing.
Yes. So whenever you want, you can spend that hold to get one of those effects, and you can do that twice. So that's you're all set. Everybody else is squared away. And then because we didn't have Delight last time, that's okay. Avatar Legends has a system sort of baked into it, which is something that you as the GM can do some work on to create fillers. So there's something in games in general, like role-playing games and more like story style stuff, an idea called love letters, which has been used in a couple of other different games. It's a really cute name for it. You can call it fan letters if you want, whatever you want, like if you're playing Masks, like letters to the editor or something, I don't know. But essentially what it is you as the MC or the GM write a letter to the character to either catch them up on what they missed or to help them start a game session. If you're running a one-shot at a con or even for your friends and you want to say, here are some stakes, I'm like, great, you're playing this playbook, here's your letter. It tells you what you're doing and how you got here, and it includes some kind of custom move that helps set the stakes for what you're about to get into. So this is going to help catch Delight up a little bit on what's going on, and determine where we start, rather than me just saying, so you're in or whatever, and here we go. So I wrote a little something, which I can read out and we'll have you resolve the move.
By all means.
So, Dear Delight, after accidentally, in parentheses, destroying Minister Li Zhang's strange tea brewing device in an attempt to stop him from drugging citizens of Ba Sing Se, you and your companions booked it into the night and crowded streets of the lower ring. Although you were separated from the others in the ensuing chaos, you managed to elude capture by the city guard and slipped back to the upper ring, where you were busted by the house servants at the Chen family compound. Your father, Song Chen, has personally grounded you for breaking your curfew. Let's find out how badly that conversation went. So go ahead and roll with your harmony as we find out how you negotiated this situation.
Is harmony like your worst stat?
Flatly my worst skill. Yeah.
Is it -1 or?
Yeah, it's
okay.
it's -1. Here we go.
Believe. Oh no, 4.
No.
I think that's the lowest roll we've
4.
actually had.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Great,
rolled
great.
a 4.
So I had a couple outcomes written out here. On
Yeah.
a 10 plus, your father took no pleasure in punishing you, but rules are rules. Mark a condition and shift your balance towards progress, because you got chewed out in front of the family, but you still kept your cool. You kind of talked your way into something a little bit less bad.
So that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. On a 7 and 9, you would have had a bad fight about freedom, responsibility, and personal safety, obviously, as a protective parent. You would take some conditions depending on how you responded, and shift your balance. On a miss, this was a very bad argument that you had. You both said a lot of things that you can't take back, although you still might regret saying them. Mark 2 conditions, your choice, however you feel after this argument.
Okay.
And you're going to shift your balance twice towards tradition. Your father's words put you in your place.
Dang.
However that conversation went, you retired to your quarters and were kept under strict supervision for meals and daily activities. Still, you can mark a growth for managing to make it out of the lower ring tea house in one piece.
Yes.
So it's been 2 days since the night you discovered that Li Zhang, the Minister of Morale, was up to something strange. You haven't seen Quan since then, but you're sure it'll be complicated the next time you see your bodyguard. Cheers, your GM. So you're going to take 2 conditions because you're still feeling raw.
I have marked 2 conditions. The 2 conditions
Okay.
I've marked are foolish and insecure.
Awesome.
That makes sense.
And you're going to shift your balance twice towards tradition. So on the sheet, there are 2 bars, balance and center. Your center should have the 0 box ticked. So whenever a move tells you to shift your balance away or towards center, you'll always be going back towards the 0.
Yeah.
And your balance is what's kind of sliding around. If you think of it like a slider on a board game tile or on a equalizer or whatever. So it starts at 0, and you're going to shift it 2 times towards tradition. So you'll click the box just over there. Yep. So that means whenever a move tells you to roll with tradition, because you're feeling more pulled towards your obligations and your family lineage and all of that, you'll add +2 to that roll. But this is linked to your opposite principle, which is progress. So if a move tells you to roll with progress, or you make a move that rolls with progress, it's a -2.
Okay.
So it's harder to kind of push against where your head is at.
Got it.
And these things can shift. These will reset after like you have time to rest and think. I think you're still pretty raw, so that's why we're kind of starting you off with this.
It's not good feelings. It's like worst grounding ever, you know.
Right.
And, just generally, I've kind of screwed up a little more than any time previously. So feeling a little bit like maybe it was my fault and I should listen to my father a little more.
A little bit more, yeah. And this really, I think it's great that we kind of established a little bit ahead of time of what your dynamic is, that like Song wants you to be following in everyone else's footsteps. You're the youngest and you're out late at night. You're not giving him a straight answer as to like where you were. You're like, Quan's not with you. Good, like by all of the spirits, like what are you doing, my child? And so it was not great, is what we're learning.
Yeah, not a good scene. I'm imagining the like indistinct silhouette of Song, because I don't know if we've described Song previously, like sort of chastising Delight, and Delight kind of, rather than yelling back and then being kind of like cowed by whatever sort of like follows from that. She's probably pouting, tinkering with something when we first like see her in her room.
Yeah, so we're gonna open there. I think that's a great way to do it. So we previously on Avatar Legends, right? We see the tea house fracas, like which happened 2 episodes ago in the pilot, that won't be on the air for like at least another year. You'll have to get the DVD for that. And then we see sort of your aftermath of like running through the streets, escaping capture from the guards, finding refuge in Feng Ma's fabric shop, kind of exploring the lower ring a little bit, learning that Delight is okay, but obviously under house arrest, quote unquote, having that scuffle in the streets with a gang, and meeting Willow, this woman who runs a print shop, who you've kind of convinced to try and make some posters about the harmful medical effects of this new ruby jasmine plant that's maybe making the rounds. So where we're going to pick up is sort of that same day that everyone else is down at the print shop in the lower ring. Delight is here tinkering away on one of your devices. So tell us, what does Delight look like, and what are your quarters like?
So Delight is a slight blonde girl who is often wearing sort of more rugged attire than you'd imagine from noble daughter. She's got a lot of like brass accoutrements and a pair of goggles that she almost like never removes, that look like they're good for, you know, shielding for welding or whatever. And her quarters are I would say like she has personalized what would otherwise be like sort of, you know, the fancy quarters of a Earth Kingdom noble family. There's a lot of like traditional scroll work and stuff like hanging up, and, you know, nice potted plants, that kind of stuff going on. You know, fancy looking bed with some more like ornate designs on it. But she's sort of a little bit of a messy person, and she has a bunch of like brass and copper colored trinkets like scattered around. There's like a blueprint rolled across the floor that she hasn't like tidied up from a previous like work attempt. And when we sort of zoom in on her, she's at her desk, which has like a bunch of like nasty score marks in it from her doing like various, you know, slipping or what have you with tools, like an oil stain or two on there that she's
For sure
tried to hide under like a, you know, like a placemat or something when
for your 4 teacups in various states of like half drunk.
Definitely the many teacups action. And she's got her like her main gadget, basically her obsessive gadget, which is this sort of launcher that she has. It's like a pistol but with a big barrel on it, that you'd put like these sort of like orbs into, and for her it's all about like what you could do with those, and like what payload you could give this thing. So she seems to be just kind of like with a screwdriver, like, you know, tuning something up or tightening or loosening or what have you, just technical stuff, in a general sense. But she looks morose, you know, like it's an idle action, but it's an idle action of like like it's annoyed confinement a little bit.
For sure. So you see you're working away. That tells us a lot about like your interest in how you vent your stress, right? And so you're like working away. Maybe you're like really zoomed into trying to get one of these springs like locked in place or something. And there's a knock on your quarter doors.
I think she sort of thank you. She quickly like tries to like tidy a few things. There's a bit of like frantic movement, and you know, straighten a few things out, but grab that blueprint off the floor, roll it up and tuck it under her bed or something.
I wasn't doing right.
And then she goes over to the door and opens it, trying to look suitably chastised, just in case it's her dad, you know.
It's your brother, I think. Your eldest brother. So do you have a general sense of his personality? Because we said that he's an innovator.
I think he's he listens to song like quite like diligently when things are like direct. Sort of like he's the eldest, so he's been dealing with this the longest, you know. And I think he's probably a fairly like gentle person generally. Very smart, but very like understated, if you know what I mean. I imagine appearance-wise, I'm imagining he has a mustache for some reason. I'm just gonna put that out there. I don't have any other like direct ideas. You're welcome.
That's great.
To
yeah, no, it's just like
co-opt him as you'd like.
Yeah, if there was like a general tone. So we'll start there. Your family has a tendency for these kind of dramatic names a little bit, right? I think this definitely started with your eldest brother and then sort of has kind of just spiraled.
Well, it's gotta make a splash, right? It's gotta be memorable.
Right, exactly. My mind immediately went to Justice as a name.
Justice is a hella name.
Right. Which I think is great also for someone who's like very reserved.
Yeah,
cool
like
name.
Yeah. So Justice, this is Justice Chen. So yeah, he's like tall. I think he takes care of himself. That mustache is probably like very well groomed.
Nice. Yeah.
He's built in. He's like he slips into his role as the like heir to the Chen lineage, like a second skin, even if he doesn't always buy into it. I think he's got like a very well tailored outfit that's like fits him perfectly. It complements all the right parts of his body, his shoulders, his chest, and he kind of has this like bearing that shows confidence.
I'm definitely imagining him as being taller than me.
Yeah,
by like
for
a
sure.
fair margin.
Yeah. By a fair amount. So he's like 6 feet tall. Let's say. So he's
cool
like
guy. Cool
big,
guy.
big athletic inventor.
Tall, dark, and handsome.
Exactly right. I think his hair. He's got his hair like perfectly close cropped too. It's like it doesn't get in the way. It's very understated. And he is just standing there with his hands behind his back and that sort of like idle attention, and looks at you expectantly. May I come in?
Yeah, sure. And like, she opens the door a little wider and sort of steps back to allow him space to come in. And once he does, she closes the door behind him because that's what you do. You know what I mean? Like, don't make him do it.
Yeah, there's two guards who are outside your door, obviously, and they.
Yeah, I haven't been allowed.
They just
out,
sort of step aside, right?
Yeah. I once the door is closed, I sort of turn to him and say, so, you here to tell me how I messed up as well, or?
And he kind of like is sort of walking in a circle, I think, like around the room, just taking it all in. He's probably not in here a whole lot because he's super busy.
The like you said, half drank teacups, the like slightly messy like setup, like it's very not in her, within her.
How long
like
have the teacups been there? That's the question.
There's like
only mold that grows in teacups.
No, not that long, right? But she's clearly gets distracted and moves on to the next thing like relatively quickly.
Right.
But it's not a room or situation befitting her station. Let's put it that way. She should have taken more care of the area.
He looks back at you and kind of tilts his head a little bit, like he's kind of like feeling sorry for you. It's kind of the general attitude you get. Like, no, I'm not here to tell you anything that you haven't already heard from Father many times.
And I've heard it a bunch of times. I'm hearing it pretty loud at the moment. Real loud.
I know. I've heard that too. And he walks over kind of towards you. And he puts a hand on your shoulder. One hand is still behind his back, he's like always at attention, I think. You know, he does care about you, Delight.
Yeah, well, he cares about a lot of things, and I don't know if I'm like super high up on that list. He just wants to make sure I'm I'm doing the right thing by the family, but I don't know.
You'd rather be elsewhere.
At the moment, yeah. There's some stuff going on, and me being holed up here, it's not helpful.
I understand that everything feels like the biggest thing in the world right now. You're right. There are things going on. Things that you and I know. Things that some of our family knows. And that the rest of the upper ring doesn't. Or chooses not to see as it is. There are bigger things in this world than you and I, Delight.
Yeah, I know. But I can't really do anything about it if I'm locked up here.
And what would you do if you had that freedom to chase what's in front of you right now?
I would... Well... First, I'd make sure that my friends were all right. The people I was with, and Quan, of course. Because, I don't hear anything in here. They don't tell me anything. The guards are, the usual. So I just really hope they haven't been hurt. Once I knew that, maybe I'd work on a plan. There's something going on with the minister. I don't know how much I should tell you.
I don't know how much I want to hear.
Yeah, exactly, right? The less you know, the less Father can ask you, and the less trouble we'll both get in.
It sounds to me like you've already gotten yourself into plenty, even before coming home.
Yeah, she sort of like looks embarrassed a little bit, like she's not sure exactly the scope of the issue, but she knows it's real bad.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, lots of trouble. But you always help me get out of trouble before.
And he smiles, this like it slowly blossoms on his face. Like at first it starts as like a little dimple, and then it just becomes this full kind of grin. And he kind of looks around the room a little bit. I do what I can for the family, and you, as the youngest, are the future of the family, whether you want to be or not.
She kind of scoffs a little bit, like, oh, yeah, okay, sure. No, I think you're the future of this family. It's been made pretty clear, I think.
Yeah. Well, that may be for now, but you and I both know Father won't be here forever, just as I won't be here forever. And when our times have come, sooner or later, you will be the one to make choices. And I feel it is my duty as your brother and as the eldest to make sure that you have what you need to be able to make those choices when the time comes. What kind of brother would I be if I didn't support what you feel is right?
And I've always appreciated your help and the talks we've had and trying to get things back on the right path. But I do hope I get to make some of those choices a little bit sooner than, when the time comes. Seems like I'm doing a lot of waiting at the moment, and I'm not sure I like where it's going.
He kind of starts picking a little dirt underneath his fingernails a little bit as he's thinking. And it seems like he's pondering a decision. I think what you're doing a little bit here is paying homage, which is a successor feature.
I think so, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so one thing that the successor can do is they have this tainted past, this powerful and infamous lineage, right? The Chens, we know, are powerful. They're very influential in Ba Sing Se, across all echelons, not just the upper ring, but obviously their reputation carries all the way down to the lower ring. People know who they are. And they're potentially dangerous because they not only have this political power, but now they're expanding into the military. So what you could do is pay obeisance and homage to a powerful member of your lineage, which means you roll with your tradition.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. That is kind of where I'm angling. Okay, so roll with tradition.
Yep. Which should be a +2 now.
Yeah, it is. Yes. Is there a button I can press for it, or do I just?
On that sheet?
I don't think so, but I'll just do it the regular way.
Yeah, I think you can just.
So it's 2d6 +2. 9.
Hey, pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
So on a 7 and 9, their resources don't come without strings. You'll need to promise to fulfill some other obligation of your lineage, or let them shift your balance right now.
Okay. I think that'll depend on what the promise is. Am I allowed to hear said promise before I make that decision, or?
Yeah, I think we can do that. So on a hit, what you get is some credit with your family. Yay. So you have 3 resources, which is one of those nebulous hold resources. Mm-hmm. So during play, you can spend that resource 1 for 1 to establish a boon that you've previously asked for or obtained, which is something that your lineage's position and stores could provide. So since your lineage's resources are cash and tech, you could spend one of your resources and be like, I'm going to
tech or cash. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Okay. So you're kind of saying like, I need help and I need to do it now. And his obligation, I think, is...
Just so you know, Elf, on the left-hand side under a tainted pass, if you scroll down, there is a homage and there is a little dice next to it.
Oh, there is.
Oh,
yeah.
spicy.
Okay. I didn't even. Yeah.
In the future.
Sorry. I just felt like I should move it on rather than search the sheet for
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just letting you know where it was, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think what he says is that's very well. And I think whatever project, he kind of says that with air quotes without making the gesture, whatever project you're working on could use a little bit of funding. Now,
always, yeah.
I don't know what it is, and I don't need to know, at least not right now. But I do need to remind you, you cannot spend all of your time working on the things that matter the most to you. Sometimes there are structures in place, things that must be followed. And do not forget, there is the gala tomorrow night if you are not in attendance, I will not make things difficult for you. But everyone else in this family will. I know that you may have forgotten this promise, but given that you are entering society now, it would be very unpleasant if you were not at your own party.
I really do hate the parties, high society parties. But yeah, all right. I'll try and be there if it's possible. If it's possible, I'll be there.
I think he like reaches into his pocket and he pulls out like a little coin pouch for like, and presses into your palm as like an advance, like for now. And as you're like, I'll try and be there. I'll try. I know you despise these things.
I definitely think, sorry. I definitely think that there is some history of her saying that she'll try and be places and not being there in those places. Yeah. But also that Justice probably knows that she is the scatterbrainedest person. You know what I mean? Like, like that it is often in the past been an innocent forgetting of going to the thing.
Yeah. And so I think he like smiles with like
distracted by something else.
He smiles with empathy, and puts the coin in your hand. Like, I know you will try. All they ask is you try.
She takes.
If it helps you try harder. You and I both despise these things, but they are great places to meet people. You meet all kinds of interesting members of society at these things.
Quick question.
Yes.
Maybe this is a bad idea, but seeing how, father's upset and everything, but can I bring guests?
He like you and he both know
that I probably can't.
It's not something that is done. But I think this is actually a moment where you are pleading with an NPC who cares what you think for help, support, or action. Like, will he cover you if you bring people that you're not supposed to bring to the party?
Guests. Yes.
So go ahead and roll with your harmony and see how this goes. Your best stat, right?
Your best stat.
My freaking harmony. No!
Oh no.
I rolled a 5.
Also, because she's insecure, I think she has like a -4 right
I have a really big.
You have a penalty to that. Yeah. So there's actually we can pause and potentially rewind. There is a mechanic that we haven't engaged with yet in Avatar Legends.
Okay.
Which is the idea of living up to your principle. So because you have these two beliefs that are always pushing and pulling you in either direction that you're trying to juggle, right? For you, it's your tradition versus your progress. There are times where when you're playing, you can try to take an action that is in line with one of those principles more than whatever it is that you're doing.
Okay, so here's my pitch.
Shoot.
I actually think this is a tradition situation because she's trying to conform to going to the party, but she's trying to make a small concession for her own sanity. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to go and I'm going to do everything right.
If I have friends there, it'll be better, but I'll behave, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and you're kind of like showing like I can play the game a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead and mark a fatigue.
Okay.
And roll using your +2 for tradition.
All right. Fatigue, and I'll roll with my +2. It's not pay homage, so I'll just.
So the reason you can't do it all the time is it costs you fatigue. You're like pushing yourself, and that's what we like to see is the 12 minus your 2 from your condition, which doesn't really play in effect because it's still a 10.
It's still a 10.
Which means that on a 10+, they act now and do to the best of their ability until the situation changes. So he like looks at you and
She's looking at him with little sister pleading eyes,
Yeah.
like yeah.
and I
Oh,
think
that's
he
rough. Why do you gotta do that?
he
Yeah.
doesn't like he knows he's going to get nailed to the wall for this if it gets out that like you just let some people off. As far as he knows, they could be anybody. He doesn't know if they're socialites, if they're people from the lower ring.
I
what
think
is
he
going
probably has some inkling that there are people that you probably shouldn't invite because
They're colorful characters that don't go to these
Delight's-
parties, right?
Delight's friends tend to be colorful. Yeah.
Yeah. And he finally he looks at your eyes, he breaks eye contact. I think he like walks over to the desk and starts like organizing your teacups as he's like and he puts his hands down on the table sort of as like, fine, you've worn me down, and turns back. Very well. I will have my assistant bring you some spare linens and outfits to make sure that they are well attired.
No, of course, and we'll all be on our best behavior.
I know you will. And he goes to the door, and he pauses. The last thing he does is he puts his hand on the door, and he turns back. And there's sort of a deep sadness for a moment in his eyes.
Aww.
And he says, Delight, you are your own person. And I love that for you. But I need you to understand. The game has rules. And much as it pains us all, to win the game, we have to follow the rules. Do you understand? He's trying to shift your balance towards tradition. Not in the sense that he's like, do what I say, right? Rah, 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 sort of like the way your father was. But like,
yeah,
the way forward
I think
is through the system.
I think that in other circumstances, she probably would argue with him. They've probably had this conversation before where she's like, well, but I want to do what I want to do,
Right.
and like, why should I have to bow to the situation at hand, so on. But he's doing her a favor right now. And also like, he came to her earnestly after she'd been sort of like chastised by her father and sort of like grounded, she's in a vulnerable emotional state.
Yeah.
So I think her response is like, I'll try harder. And just maybe I can work with you or something. That would give me something to do.
There's just a drop of water at the edge of his eye as he he's just like one little tear that starts as he creaks the door open, and he stands in the doorway for a second with the open door, and he just smiles that forlorn smile and says, all that I ask is that you try. And he closes the door. And we'll jump from that touching moment. Your balance will shift towards tradition.
Ah, sweet.
So now you're
+3.
at +3 tradition. Now what happens when you're here? Well, nothing happens right now. The track only goes to +3, -3 on either direction, right?
Yeah.
If your balance ever shifts over that edge, so you would go off of the tradition edge or the progress mark, and the same for anyone else, we trigger a move called lose your balance, which means that you obsess over what you believe in that moment to a degree that it's not healthy. So it can be something potentially benign, like, oh, I believe so much in care as the hammer that I do something foolish. Or like, as the idealist, I believe so much in forgiveness.
I can definitely see where this could get messy for Delight. For sure.
Things will go... they'll get complicated. Basically,
Good.
you shift over there. And so we'll see what happens if it does happen.
You can take if that happens.
Yes. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, burn that bridge when we get there.
So there's a preview to put it on the table for everyone. Like that's what could come up. So back to everyone else. You've been in this. Do you have something else to say? Okay.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Awesome. So everyone else, you've been at this print shop for a while that has been, to recap, a little busted up in a fight with a street gang. And so I think like where the last time we saw you all was working with Willow, who was this woman with kind of like pulled back hair, kind of a little flustered, similar to Delight in a sense. She seems a little scattered, but she's working hard. She's an artist of some kind. She runs a printing press. And you've convinced her that the Chen family, sort of under the Ministry of Health's auspices, has been like, hey, you need to put out some posters. We can't, everyone else is busy. You're the only person who can do this. And she's bought it for whatever reason. And you also helped her with her protection racket. So she's kind of inclined to help you. So are you still there? It's been like maybe an hour, or have you gone off to do something else? What do you think?
We'll probably still be there.
Okay.
Workshopping the design and then waiting for them to be made so we can start just chucking them on every wall.
Right. So she's kind of like poring over some papers and she's sketching things out, sketching out ideas. And so maybe we see each of you like contributing, like, you should go here. Like, actually, what's the one thing that each of you has to have on this poster? Because you're doing art by committee, right? So what's the most important thing to you? Like, is I can imagine for some of you, like, I want the font to be super cool.
Project. Oh no.
Project management flashbacks, right? Like,
I haven't been in college in so long now.
Right. Which one of you is like on their phone while everyone else is doing the work? Tell us how this process goes for you.
I think Jean's really married to the idea of it having a picture of a coffee cup on, and that's a teacup, and it's causing some trouble probably.
Yeah, it's the formatting where Willow's like, well, I can get the teacup on here, but then people are going to get confused because is it the plant, or is it the flower, or is it the tea? And then if I put it here, then it's going to mess up the spacing on all of the other information. It sort of overlaps.
And Jen's like, well, we don't know. I don't happen to have an example of what Ruby Jasmine looks like, but it's the problem is when we put it in tea. So we want to make the association of when you see tea, make sure it's not got Ruby Jasmine in it.
He's like, but then everyone's going to panic about tea, and it's not all tea that's bad. It's just this one tea, and so I don't know if
Ruby Jasmine really big, so you can't miss that bit.
I feel like the word attention needs to be on there. Attention, not just to do panic, but just attention.
Right.
Just like in big bold letters, and then emphasis on the terrible symptoms that I list.
Right.
Yes.
It's like it's going to cause this gastrointestinal distress and all of these horrible things. And
explosive gastro. I think you need to put the word explosive right there.
Explosive has to be in there. And she's like, yes. People are going to think they're going to die if they drink this stuff. If we put explosive on there, it's not going to blow them up. It's foul. I can't print that on my printing press. Have you seen what she's pointing to all of her prints, which are like, beautiful landscapes and like people, like animals and things like that.
Okay, well, then how else would you suggest that we say an immediate evacuation of the bowels?
Stomach pain.
Stomach pain, but all right, you this is your profession. I will, but you should, the attention. So it's big bold letters, so it's good. Yes, catches the eye. I like bold. Maybe like more colors, just more colors.
And
I know you.
Kwan's side. Kwan's side is like she's shaking her head at both of these two people.
Right. You fools.
Yeah. Kwan is more concerned about the image that the Chen family has put forward, right? They have a very specific branding, right, of like the way that their messages go out, the formatting, the verbiage, and that kind of thing. And so she's trying to take what Jean and Chi and this lovely lady Willow have going on and trying to make it like a cohesive thing that fits within still the guidelines that the Chen family would expect from messaging that's coming from the family.
It has to look official, right? It
and
doesn't
she's very
matter.
patient, so she sits and she listens and she lets them all do their thing as she does, and then she bestows upon them what wisdom she has, but in a very aggressive, not harmonious way. And it's just like, you all need to. This is just madness. The message just needs to be clear. What the problem is, who they need to be worried about and what, and how to resolve it. That's it. And sure, you can have a picture and make one of the words bold. Probably Ruby Jasmine makes the most sense.
And so there's this sort of moment of like Gian's like pointing at the teacups, and she's like, it's got to say attention and explosive, and Kwan's like, it doesn't matter, we have to be clear on the messaging, blah blah blah, blah. And Willow finally is like, I'm sorry, this is very important, I understand, I have heard everything that you've said, I will do my best to incorporate the attention to the tea that causes pain and distress in a way that is official and efficient.
I don't like this.
She's like,
And then
kind of like circled a couple of things
by the
on the
door
notepads.
and leans up and like, she's just kind of like watching the door.
Yeah. And I think she's like,
she's kicking us out. Bun's like, she's gonna kick us out. Get out of here.
I mean, she's like, yeah, like,
I am an artist.
I need time to think and process what you have said, and I will do my best to incorporate everything. It will take me time. It'll take me time to set up the press anyway, to produce en masse. If you could come back tomorrow, I'm sure I will have everything to your standards. Besides, I need to tidy up a few things. She's pointing at like one of the poles that's supporting the second floor, or the ceiling here has been like cut in places by Razor Ning's sword. Like some of the tables have been overturned during Jian's like bobbing and weaving. There's daggers sticking out of the like two of her prints on the walls and like the window shutters. So she's just like, I have a few things to clean up, as she gestures at everything.
Oh, we could help with the cleaning up if you want.
She's like folds her arms like she's trying to figure out
Okay, well, we can go.
how to defuse a bomb.
I think it's best we move on. Come now, John. And Quan will like hold the door open for the two of them.
With her arms still folded, she's like, I'm very grateful for everything that you have done.
Quan
It's like trying to sound like
that's like
not,
a little like bow, but it's not a low bow. It's like
it's
a
like a
respectful.
little, yeah.
She's not a noble, so it's not the same concept. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll like bow a bit and kind of awkwardly shuffle out.
I will be like, of course, I should let you be within your creative juices. And I do a big flourish. Goodbye, madame. And I hope you still stay as lovely as you are. And then dramatically leave.
Once
She
she's shaking her
softens
head.
so much as you like go into your whole spiel, where she's like, you frustrate me, but I'm fascinated by you.
You're so handsome. I can't
Right.
stop looking at you.
Like you are like a poetic hero in her eyes. Like, you showed up off the streets, you like had these cool knife tricks, you've got an ice stoat crawling around in your tunic, like You're literally something out of like an adventure story. She's like, God, I hate you, but I want to look at you a little bit longer. So she's like, kind of like, pie, just gently pawing away at you, and then goes back to her papers.
Swan shakes her head and like follows them out the door. And then as soon as we're kind of like by ourselves enough, Quan will just say, "I've heard word that Delight is back with her family."
Oh, that's
That
good.
is-
We should meet up then.
Well, she looks at the two of you and is like, "Perhaps you will need to clean up a little bit before we make our way that way if you want to join."
Okay.
Makes
and
sense.
I'm gonna be like, where do I?
Could we possibly go back to my lovely fabric shop friend and get them some new attire?
That would make
The
the
ex-
most sense to me.
Yeah.
So we jump cut back to the tailor shop, the Feng Ma's fabric shop. Feng Ma it's like late afternoon. It's like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And so I think Feng Ma is doing business. So you know, the door is open, you walk in. There's a few people who are like perusing things, people who are looking at fabrics and textiles, or who are trading for different goods. I think Feng Ma has like a barter system set up for, obviously, like a lot of people in the lower ring don't have the money to burn, but they do have goods and services. And so I think part of this community gets by on like, listen, I've got a bunch of eggs. You need breakfast. Here you go. I just need a bolt of linen, please. I don't care what color it is, just something to make some bandages or whatever. And so you kind of come in as there's a little bit of hustle and bustle, not a lot, but like 2 or 3 people in the shop. And Feng Ma is obviously like changed into more of like a mercantile outfit. So it's like it's a very humble cut, but it's got like flashes of like brocade and color and stuff kind of stitched onto it, because they make all their stuff and they're like showcasing the outfits. And so Feng Ma turns back like, Quan, darling, it's so nice to see you after just a few hours. I thought you were very busy with other things, but so nice of you to grace me with your presence once again.
Of course, I'm sorry that we are here again, but this time with a little business for you. My companions here need some new attire.
Yes, well, I mean, no disrespect to your traveling companions, but yes, I do suppose we could do something like that, and everyone needs a project. So, and Feng Ma like walks over and immediately has the measuring stick rope out, and like checking your sleeves and your inseam and your, you know, how much we need over here. Yes, well. It's a bit short notice to make anything custom, of course, but if you do find yourself in need of any bespoke outfits, I hope you will remember my name. Let me see what I have in the back, and something a little more discreet. Looking at Gian and gesturing to this, like, half of a military outfit that you're still wearing. And comes back with, I think, some like nice, nothing super fancy, but nice outfits that I think would not be out of place in the middle ring more than the lower ring. Like, no, has a sense that you're going to be dealing with some socialites, or like if you're dealing with Quan deals in the upper ring, so you might as well not just be wearing laborers' clothes. And so comes back with say like those tunics that have kind of a cross, like a curve, and then the line down with the buttons.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember what they're. I want to say Keepow, but I might be wrong. Maybe that's the one with the waist. I don't know.
I know what you're talking about, though.
I know things about some fashion, but not all fashions. But it's like, nice like long tunics that are like tunic vests, and then like a shirt with sleeves underneath as like a layer, and some pants, maybe some sandals, and gets you like outfitted pretty nicely. Like, these were an order that was supposed to be picked up several months ago, but unfortunately the buyer didn't have the coin at the time, and well, they just never came back. So that makes it your benefit. No one will miss it. And hands them off to you, and they're in like greens and browns, like traditional middle class attire, more than sort of the unbleached stuff or like darker earth tones at the lower.
Yeah, I
But
offer.
lets you get changed and everything. Yeah, what's up?
I offer like a
Is-
pouch with coin in it, but it's more than it's probably worth for her troubles, or his troubles, their troubles.
I had a question.
I have an answer.
When I come out, is there a way to like kind of like hype up the outfit that I'm like, oh, of course, thank you so much for making these. They fit so elegantly on. This is of course a work of a quality genius at hand, and I love the fit. It quite suits me very well. Don't you think, quite sir, that they did a very excellent job with this outfit? So hyping it up to the other customers.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like
totally.
it.
Like, there's no that's just something that you do because you are someone who has this kind of aura of confidence kind of oozing out
I
of you.
love it. So much.
So you step out and you're like hyping it up, and the other customers kind of do the avatar thing of like they put up their heads up, they kind of look over at you. There's like a little musical dun, 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 kind of like intrigue music as they're looking over at you. Maybe you pose and there's like some sparkles that kind of
Yeah,
come
and
off
there's a
of your
wink
body.
with the eye wink. Yeah, with the
Right,
cheek.
right.
Susu, what do you think? This is, of course, a fit of that of the higher rank of that of what we are, and then hair flip.
Yeah, maybe there's like a cowl, like a hood, but not quite a hood that Susu can kind of like crawl in and out of, and Susu pops their head out like and nods vigorously to remind everyone Susu is a ice stoat, right?
Oh, dude, Susu could
I
become
st-
like you know those fancy like animal scarves.
like an ermine, yeah, like a mink.
Just alive.
It just
Yeah.
drapes around
He
the
just
neck.
drapes around.
That's exactly what Susu does. Is just like coils around like so much fur, like
Yeah.
dramatically, like does a little paw, like I'm going onto my fainting couch because I've got the vapors. And the other customers like look over, as you're doing whatever you're doing, like clearly approach Feng Ma and are like, hey, what how do we? I'm looking at upgrading. What can I do about this? What do you do? Do you head out from here?
Yeah, I think as I see Feng Ma getting busy, Quan smiles at Chi and back at Feng Ma and says, well, it appears you're busy now. I'm sure we'll do business again. And does a bow again respectfully and opens the door for Jean and Chi and hopes that they leave before we cause any trouble.
I'll head straight out. Definitely though, looking at his new clothes, like this is so nice. Like he's not used to this, so he's like, ooh.
All right, I will also go out with not a lot of fanfare, but I will subtly give a wink to Fang.
And Fang like looks back in the middle of measuring someone's sleeve, and meets your gaze and gives you a little wink back. It's sort of like a
Aw.
game recognizes game kind of way. Like,
They're both
I know
so
what you're
similar
doing.
too. They both
Very,
have like that
very-
kind of like flamboyant vibe. I love it.
very very important to flirt with everyone. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So we
Um,
head.
Yeah, I think we're gonna head to find the Chen family area.
Okay.
If we go that way, can we pass the garden at all, or is the garden like a separate area?
So where the ruby jasmine is being grown?
Yeah, so I can kind of show them too.
So that's out in the agrarian zone. So to kind of cap out for people that are not as familiar with Ba Sing Se, which is fine, it's a massive city. It is a massive, massive city. It sort of draws some allegories to Beijing. So you have this big circle, which is the outer walls, which are supposed to be impenetrable. They're like 100 meters tall. Huge, huge stone walls. When people need to come in, earthbenders like drop the rocks down, right? So
yeah,
they push it down so that people can come in from the outside. But once you get inside those outer walls, which recently were broken for the first time in recent history.
Forever.
Right. And that's as far as anyone got. The Fire Nation like breached the walls, barely got inside, and then retreated. There's a whole bunch of farmland in the next concentric circle. And then once you get past the acres of farmland, then there's the lower ring. There's a wall that blocks up the lower ring, which is sort of the lower class. There's some factories and businesses and residential zones, which is like extremely cramped. And then there's the middle ring, which is a little higher up, and that's kind of the middle class. And then the upper ring, obviously, is where the elite are. And inside the upper ring is the palace, where the Earth King is. So you're in the lower ring right now. So you would have to go out of the city and into the agrarian zone to go by where the jasmine is supposedly.
Okay, so it's not at the Chen.
It's not on the way
like
into the. Yeah.
Gotcha. Then never mind. Yeah, we just head towards the Chen family?
Cool. So I think the easiest way to get there for you is to find your way to one of the monorail stations. So there is a way around. There's a bunch of ways around the city. It would take you a long time to walk from one end to the other. It's not a walking city. If you need to get like even within one of the rings, you would take a cart or something like that. Unless you were going like only a couple blocks. Or you would take the monorail, which is these elevated train systems that are powered by earthbenders who push the stones to power these things and like run them kind of between the rings. So you get up onto one of these trams from the outer ring and ride. And so we get a nice tone setting shift. Because down in the lower ring, everything is these cramped, mostly one-story buildings, unfinished or like simple stonework or wood, black tiles on all the roofs, partially because of the air, but also just it's simple. And then we get to the middle ring, which is a little higher up, and we start to see these green tiled buildings, finer. The streets are more open. People are not quite as crowded. There's still some hustle and bustle, but it's a little more of like, a metropolitan shopping center kind of area. Like, people are going out here and they're buying their nice clothes. They're getting some like food from a street vendor. They're kind of going about their daily business. There's like some tea houses that are much more posh. And then we also see some greenery for the first time. There's not a lot of natural plant life in the lower ring. In the middle ring, we see some like gardens and things like that. And then we get to the upper ring, which is where everything stops. A lot of people have gotten off the trains at this point. And so it's really just you on this train at this point. You get off, and the upper ring is bright. The streets are perfectly polished and immaculate. This is the first time that Jian and Chi have been up here ever.
This whole
right?
ride has probably been an experience.
Right. You've seen
probably at the window like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm right next to.
And then I think Quan is just sitting in the chair with like sitting down with like arms folded and kind of like just watching them.
Right, because this is where you work.
Yeah.
You've been all over the city, but this is where you're most used to being around. So yeah, it's overwhelming almost for all of you to see. And this is probably the most wealth in one place that either Chi or John has seen ever, right?
Mhm.
So you're from small villages in the East Earth Kingdom. You like didn't know
is where
that
all my
this kind of
tax
stuff
money
could
goes.
exist.
No,
This
just
is some like fantasy palace bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This might as well be the palace to you. And you can still in the distance see the walls that lead to the palace, like kind of spires out of the center of the whole city. As you take it in, you can almost see the like tiers of everything else as they kind of go down. And it just makes you feel so immeasurably small to see how much space there is here. And stepping out, you know, there's I think there's like attendants that are helping like a few people with like a bag or something or whatever they're carrying, in very nice like simple but well-made uniforms of silk. You're like,
Yeah, and I think as we step out, Quan kind of looks to them and says, "Now stay close."
yeah. The people getting off the train who were not in your car look at the three of you and just kind of look you up and down like, oh, are you sure you didn't take a wrong turn? As if to say with your eyes, like, I don't know about that. Quan's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But both the two of you, like, you seem a little uncomfortable, maybe a little out of place. And you walk through these streets. Maybe you take a pedicab at some point, which is what are they those like horse chickens? I don't remember their names.
Yeah.
Um,
Horse chickens.
they look like they look like
I
chocobos,
know,
but
it's just
different.
funny. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but it's
Yeah.
funny to just call them
Totally.
a horse chicken.
So you take one of those little carriages up to
What are they called now?
the Chen place. So for both Delight and Quan, this place is big. I think I've been calling it a compound because in my mind it's like they have a holding of like a manor house basically and some
Yeah.
grounds up here because you're so influential.
Oh, it's an ostrich.
What are kind of things that people would notice the first time they showed up here? Like what are the things that your characters are like, that's how I know I'm home?
Oh, it's just called an ostrich horse.
Ostrich horse.
Ostrich horse? Really? They didn't
Yeah.
think
Awesome.
of anything cool?
You were close. Yeah, no,
Well, everything's
nothing.
like some
It's all like
badger
two
mole.
Yeah,
two
it's like
animals.
a conglomerate.
Wolf bat.
Like all their animals are weird conglomerations.
platypus
of-
bear.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to, Maggie? Do you want to field it first in terms of what the Chen compound, like what
No,
makes you feel
this
like
is
you're
your
home?
family. I feel
All
like
right, all right.
I
you
can
know,
give
I just
like
wanna-
the feel of what maybe the people who work there kind of
Oh, yeah,
the vibe that
sure.
they have. But I think for the general like your
So-
house and how I think that should be you.
So I think the Chen family has like some kind of symbol. I'm not sure exactly what it is because I haven't thought about it enough, but a lot of the Earth Kingdom symbols are like various like circular symbols with like designs on them or through them or what have you. So it's probably something to that sort of like theming that is like on the gate to the compound. Like you're saying compound and I'm thinking like big walls, like smooth
Yeah.
earth bender, you know, like fully carved out like solid walls around the whole place that prevent people from like eyeing in. I imagine
Totally
once those
not
doors,
sus.
yeah, I imagine once those doors are open, the gates are open, there's like a fairly sizable courtyard with like you know, like a well cultivated, you know, like garden, some hedges, that kind of stuff, and like an open air, like you know, when it's like columns and a roof, but there's like around the side of these things, but there's no like wall, kind of, you know what I'm
Starts
talking
with
about.
the P word. It starts with a P. What is it called?
Parapet?
I'm just thinking of
No.
like you know, like cloisters and stuff where there's like the kind of like you can see the garden from the walkways on the side of the garden kind of
Yeah,
thing.
okay.
I'm not an architect. I don't know the words. And then the manor house is set at like the far end though the courtyard extends around it as if there's sort of like a little bit of a backyard as well. And all the buildings are connected or can be connected without you having to go outside necessarily. There's a feeling that there's a lot underground as well. I don't know how you would discern it, but there is some unseen tunnels or like rooms and storage and so forth like underneath this place.
Yeah, maybe you can see some stairwells or something that go down at various intervals. Like there's kind of I'm thinking like a bus terminal kind of thing
I'm kind of imagining it all as very trying to appear decorative, but is clearly functional. You know, like there's a lot of like, this is a very fancy place, but it also looks like if you had to storm this place with a bunch of soldiers, it would be very difficult for you. You know? Yeah. Sort of a situation.
Make the functional beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Deceptively so almost.
I imagine there are plenty of employees, around, and guards and house folks. Like I imagine the Chen family employs a fair number of the lower tier or lower circle folks that work up here. You know what I mean? Or like the military folks that have take on private gigs when they're not, on duty or what have you. But like we said, I will leave that to Quan to explain, to Maggie to explain.
Yeah, I think from the workers' point, we are more hidden. We're not out, and everything looks beautiful and gorgeous right from the outside perspective. But I think probably our quarters are more underground and in these little crevices that are hidden, and we have little pathways that we traverse to go to each of the rooms and to clean the rooms or to watch over people and stuff like that. So we're there, but we're not seen as much as unless we're meant to be.
It's definitely one of those things where there's those tunnels that go around,
I feel
and then there's secret doors behind every room that a servant can just appear behind someone and have a full jug of wine or something ready to refill someone's glass, and then they just casually step backwards behind a little wooden stand or a plant or something, and they're just out of sight.
The wall just moves and a hand comes out and refills your glass and goes back in.
Yeah, maybe not quite full Scooby-Doo, but definitely the feeling of
I mean, honestly, I'm just imagining the description that we're giving. I'm just imagining this is how I've ditched out several times.
This is 100%. Every time you leave the house, there's some most of the house servants I think are I'm gonna have my job if I don't report on this. But there's probably a few who you were friends with who are oh, hey, Delight, as you're sneaking out again, cool. I'm going to bring this cup of tea to your father. I won't say anything. Yeah. Shall I have a hot plate ready for you when you return?
I don't
Master
know.
Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to use all of that, I think the Chen family seal is a reflection of that mountain. The Earth Kingdom, the Earth symbol is that kind of
a
pentagon diamond or mountain shape with the Earth symbol. I think it's reflected, so it's the mountain above and then a cavern below, and then it's in a circle, and we'll work from there.
Yeah, I like that.
I already have knowing a few things about the world and the history of Bossing Say. There's some fun things we can do with that.
I look forward.
So we reach the edge. You've seen massive gates, these gardens, the walls. There's people patrolling above the walls. There's people there's house guards in front. This is old hat to you, Quan. But again, Chi and Jian, it's overwhelming for you because you've been through so much, and this is someone's house. This is not someone's house. This is someone's farmstead, this would be
fortress.
so much land for a farmer, a fisher, anyone.
I mean,
this is
it's
like three
it's
houses.
a whole
in one.
it's a whole small village, right?
Right,
Like,
right. This might as well be a village. So the guards like recognize you as you approach, and they simply nod as you flash your badge and let you in. I think I think they're gonna stop both Chi and Jian for a second though. Like, Quanjenya, welcome back. You two, I'm sorry, you seem to be lost.
No, we're with
that was me.
Are you bringing them in? As if to imply, like, are they prisoners? Like,
Oh, that's it. No, nothing like that. Guest.
I'm sorry, madam. What is your rank within the family? Is it like madam?
yeah, like where do you stand on the hierarchy?
I mean, I'll let you pick that, Simon.
I
but
think
I think
Okay.
I
Go ahead,
would
Al.
think you'd be pretty high. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Like in
I
terms
mean-
of like how you're responsible for the bodily safety of a member of the family, right? Like that's
You
I
carry
imagine that,
your name
like,
carries
each
weight.
of these children has kind of their guardian, right? Like that watches over them or whatever.
Mhm.
And I've been assigned to Delight, but also I think I've been assigned to Delight because she's been the most problematic child,
Yes.
and I am like very close to Song because Song was my ward prior
Yeah.
until
I think I was gonna say like madam or something like that. It sounds wrong because you're like detached and you get stuck with these people for a while. I think they call you agent.
ooh, I like it.
So they're like, I'm sorry, Agent Jenya, but Lord Chen has said that due to recent unfortunate circumstances, the house is to be closed off from outsiders for a few days until things blow over.
I will have to follow up on what circumstances have occurred, but these are guests of Delight.
Perhaps, and they kind of like wince a little bit, like,
And I give like a knowing look, like I understand what they're understanding. Like there's like a look going back and forth, like of course they are here for
like,
Delight.
Agent Jenya, Lady Delight is not to receive visitors, and they're like almost pleading with you, like, oh my god, please, don't make us do this. What I'm pushing for is for you to try and like push on them a little bit, somehow, however you want to do it.
And I think she does. She kind of shrugs a little bit and says, I'm sure she's found herself into some predicament, but I think this time it makes sense for us to allow a little bit of a push here. We will be going through.
We will be right, and I think this is where badge of authority triggers for sure, because like you are a agent of the house. You were the Lord's personal bodyguard for years. They know who you are. They really don't want to do this, but they might have to. Go ahead and roll with your passion.
Is it terrible that I'm just imagining the stories the guards tell each other about Quanjenya? Like, you know, like there's like the rumors that you took on like 50 guys at once or something, and like, you know, they're like clearly just like out of control.
No.
Oh, and a 10.
Yeah, perfect. On a hit, they do what you say. So the
Yeah.
guards are standing there with their spears, and they're like, we will be going in. And they immediately like drop to full attention. They step to the side. They bang on the gate so that it opens up, and they salute you as you walk in. Like, yes, you will be, agent.
And Quan just no expression on her face, just walks forward like in a very like proper manner.
Great. Just this is every day.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel, Chi and Jian?
I'm gonna whisper to Gian really quick. Juan's kind of scary. You think she did something to them?
I don't know. I'm not gonna question it. It worked.
I
It was
just
it was
like-
definitely a moment where Gianna was trying to just look as presentable as possible. Like arm starts moving up for like a response salute, and then goes back down. He's like, I probably shouldn't be doing that. Let's just walk in. Come walk in.
Yeah, just like weird, awkward smiles. Thanks.
Exactly.
Good job
That-
doing your job.
You're trying so hard to fit in that you're not fitting in. Yeah, totally.
Oh my god, these guys! I like that. It's so animated. Like have like someone just like walk like very militaristically walking through. The other guy going, "Do I salute them?" I don't know. And the other person being like,
Every time you describe your character's actions, Bonsai, I think of the Water Tribe out. Like
yeah.
Sokka.
There's a lot of that Sokka inspired in this. Yeah.
It's almost like you're playing the playbook that was inspired by Sokka.
What?
Great. So you glide on in, right? And again, on the inside, it feels bigger on the inside, because of all the greenery. This is like the first time you're seeing like real trees and bushes and flowers and things like that. It's like, who has the time to take care of it? Oh, there's like 6 gardeners that you see on the way in who are just in various states of, digging new plants or putting down fertilizers or whatever. You make your way through the interior until where would they find Delight, do you think?
Well, is she still confined to her quarters, Simon?
You're sort of, you can leave. You just can't go anywhere without at least 1 or 2 guards with you.
Gotcha. I've just got an escort. Got it.
Right. Song has been like, all right, listen, she's been in there for long enough. She can go around the compound, and that's it.
I think she's
so
probably
grounded.
Yeah.
I think she's probably been, having that freedom is probably taken advantage of it as much as possible. I think she's probably like in a dining room or something, like getting something to eat. But it's like a fairly open space that you'd have to pass through, like, in the like main hall sort of area of the like manor house. So she'd be easy to spot. And she's just kind of like casually talking to the guard that's like assigned to her. It's like, so, what are your plans for the gala? Got anything going on? Just like kind of eating some nondescript bread cheese product on her plate while she does so very inelegantly.
Guarding the gala. That's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, she's kind of not listening to his replies. She's
just like making conversation but not paying attention to it. So the people in the house have kind of.
Yeah, she's just being like a little bit flippant that she's got this person following her around everywhere.
Yeah, like the two of you are on each other's last nerves for sure.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
only been like 20 minutes.
You can see the frustration rising in this man's face while he stands there listening to her ask inane questions. But he has to answer them because she has rank on him. You know what I mean? Like,
this guy's got the anime vein in the forehead, like constantly. It's just throbbing, threatening to burst. Yeah, I think the people in the house are able to direct you. Like, we see Quan and Chi and Gian kind of walking around, like pointing in directions, and they point you towards this room. So you're kind of like the guard is super frustrated, is like holding his tongue as the door slides open and the 3 of you enter. So you're in this it's a dining room. I think there's many of these rooms. But I think this one is sort of more, maybe more of a casual one.
I've been walking around, I've been kind of like pointing out stuff to John and Chi, and been like, but it's like the most dry like tour you've ever heard of in your life. It's not like, like, oh, and this is our ballroom. It's like, this is a ballroom. This is a kitchen. Like it's just like very dry.
Do not touch this.
This is the
Yeah.
gallery, right?
This is worth a lot of money. Don't touch it. That is Master Song's sword. You know, just like very dry, explaining what everything is.
I'm
This
just like,
painting was painted by Song's great grandmother 500 years ago. Right? It's just like straight.
Yeah.
I'm just like, a kitchen? Like there's more than one?
Of course. It just keeps going.
Sure. Of course.
So you end up in this room, which is
Yeah.
like not the fanciest dining room, which I think maybe is what you like about it. Delight, but like
Yeah. This is
it's still
this is a casual eating location. You know.
yeah. It's still got the like dining table and chairs and everything and like tapestries on the wall, but they're you know, they're not the nice ones. This is not
No,
where you
no.
take the house guests. This is where you go if you're like, I just need a bite. Someone bring me something, bring me some bao, and I'm just gonna scarf it down right here.
And like this one, I kind of figure that this might be where she is. Before we walk in the door, I think Quan just says, and this dining room is one that is not the nicest one on this floor. And she opens the door. and
Right.
you
Open the
see-
door. There is a dark wood, like perfectly polished, long dining table. It could fit about a dozen people at it. Chairs with like green like velvet upholstery. There is a scroll on the far wall of like a beautiful mountain range done up in ink. Like sumie, like ink strokes that leads into like a spring scene with like cherry blossoms and a waterfall. It's 6 feet long. There's a window that looks out onto the garden. Like this is not the nicest.
Like you're
one.
Yeah,
you're like
and
expecting
at
it to not be the nicest room, and then we open the door, and it's
and
like or like I imagine the earth just slides over, and then this is the vision that you see.
Right.
And at the end of the table, like the far end from the door, like sitting at the very end of the table is Delight, who you've met before. Not looking like she should be sitting at this table, you know, like she's still got her like goggles on.
Still wearing the
and, like,
goggles.
generally like conversing with this very frustrated guard, conversing being sort of one-sided at this point. And when she sees you in the doorway, her expression goes from like this sort of like bored, annoyed, like morose vibe to like a much more immediately like, oh, my friends are here, you know, like smile. And she stands up from the table and says like, you're all okay. Awesome.
And you're okay too.
It is good to see you're fine as well. What is your Master Delight? And I look at the other guard and I say, "You may go. I will take it from here."
He is like all too happy to be relieved. Like, whatever you say, Agent Jinya. And
She just goes.
steps away, like gives you this horrible, dirty look. Delight, like,
She doesn't even
My lady.
whatever. It's fine.
like through gritted teeth, and he leaves.
She gives him the best like, yeah, all right, like, you know, like little tiny nod of acknowledgement.
Quan steps to the side and kind of like motions for Jean and Chi to go into the room, and then stands at the guard kind of like very stoically until the other guard leaves to make it seem
Yep.
like, oh, I'm just gonna stand here. But really,
just
once
gonna
the
wait.
door, the earth kind of slides forward, she does kind of like relax a little bit more.
Yeah. I think like Delight gets up from the table and like, you know, walks over like down the table towards the pair of you.
Long table
Yeah, I did.
towards everybody.
I'll go ahead and go, hello, you deviant, and then do a hand slappy.
Deep, she was like taken aback by the mode of address, but also like totally comfortable with it as well. She says we should go to my room. We can talk there. There's some stuff to fill you in on my end.
We have some information for you as well, Master Delight.
Oh, wonderful. You're all safe and nobody's hurt. Anybody need anything? Tea?
No tea for now. For a little while. Just a bit.
Yeah, maybe something else.
It's I'm sure it's safe. But all right. And she sort of like leads the way through some hallways back to her room, where she can get some privacy.
So that's where we pick up the scene.
Yeah, and once their like door closed, she turns and says, "So, Father wasn't very happy about some of the stuff. I didn't tell him everything, but it's gonna be some trouble getting out of here a little while."
What did you share with your father?
Just that we kind of made a bit of a mess, and some folks are angry with us. I did mention Bleachang, but not what we did particularly, or what I didn't know how much you wanted me to say. So
Dawn just shakes her head. Well, of course, you're in trouble. All you told him was that you made a ruckus.
I don't know how secret this stuff is supposed to be.
I mean, it'd be good if it wasn't secrets at all, but I think we'll get in trouble if we try and just go around telling everyone.
Yeah, generally that's a bad idea.
Jean here has more information for us. He says that outside of the wall there is a war going on.
Yeah, that's...
As we suspected, something like that.
That's what this is all about. Is everyone in here's pretending that there isn't, and that just seems like a terrible idea. Surely we should be, the whole city should be working
Jean,
together.
Don't say people are pretending there isn't. I think there's more at hand here. The people should not be to blame. They are just living their lives.
Well, not everyone. Some people don't know, but it's because other people are not telling them.
Inside of the wall here, we feel safe. We have no worries of things such as that, and that is what we have armies for.
What about
Simon,
everywhere else?
How much do I know about what my family knows about this? Just so that, like, because, like, did Delight already know and she was keeping it secret because you're supposed to keep it secret? Or,
I think because your family is branching into military command, I think you have an idea that this is definitely, like, there is a war. I
was under the assumption that me and you were thinking there was, like, now that we've been part of, like, the Chen family is starting to get into this, like, military-esque type of business, that there must be a reason, right? Like, why are they getting into it? Probably for the safety of their family and to be part of the war, right? To make sure it goes safely. So we're like, why? There must be something deeper here. Why would Father like be interested in that?
So when you say that it is,
was my assumption.
When it said that there is one, she kind of was like, I knew, I knew that was the case. Like,
right. Why else would we be drafting soldiers and making weapons and doing all these other things if it wasn't to be used for something, right?
I bet you Justice already knows about it. He didn't tell me.
I just can't believe people in here don't know. I grew up hearing about it. It's always been a thing my whole life. Been going for nearly a century.
A century? Well, that can't be right.
That's my point. Is if it's been going that long and it's that big, how can people in here not know?
I don't know, but they should.
Yeah, Quan
Exactly.
kind of doesn't speak an answer, but looks at him like, yeah, I don't know.
But we've got some other issues on my end. Like I said, I made a bit of a
More
mess,
problems? Oh, what have you
Oh.
gotten yourself into now, Master Delight?
well. Justice has said that I have to go to the gala,
No, that is
tomorrow.
not a problem.
But it is if we have to pursue this whole
You were
problem with
making
the
me
minister.
think that there was some kind of thing that we would have to fight now.
Uh, you can see that for Delight, it's much bigger of an issue,
Right.
And looking around her room, you can actually see like several garments strewn around that she's been trying to decide on what she's gonna wear, or that she doesn't like each one, and then there's some new clutter added
Like
to the
hair pieces that are
pile.
everywhere.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
with those
Yeah.
like those ones that have like all the little weird dangly bits on them.
Yeah.
And there's like those things get stuck in your hair. I don't know how
They
people
sure
wear those
do.
things. Like
But yeah, just several high society garments strewn around and accessories of various kinds.
is she trying them on?
No, just comparing them.
She's
not
like
trying.
petting the fabric.
Just taking a look, right? Susu has climbed out at some point and is pulling at the fabric, or I think has
Snuggling in
slipped
it.
onto the bed and is sort of fiddling with a pair of earrings or something. Oh, these are shiny.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
But so I've got an invitation. Well, invitations. I've my brother has said that I can have guests, so you all should be fine to attend the party.
When you say that, Quan looks at the two of them and is like, and then looks back at you and says, "We may need to get them some more fitting attire."
Justice said that he'd have someone bring something suitable.
She just nods and sits back again.
Yeah.
Feel calm.
Relieved, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
How much more can I stretch my relationship with Fengma?
Yeah.
I did say that we would be on our best behavior, and I kind of need to conform a little bit, win some points back. Father's upset, and it just never goes well when he's upset. So
Well, he's rightfully so upset.
I don't like when you agree with him all the time. She
Sometimes he's right.
pouts briefly. Yes, well,
There
maybe
have been times where he's wrong as well.
maybe this time he is, but the important thing that I'm thinking is, that I'm thinking is that we might be able to rub elbows with a few folks during this event that should be informed about what has happened or what the minister is doing. Delicately, right? Quietly.
I look at this entire group and I think of the words delicate and quiet, and Quan's like,
Yeah, coming from Delight,
That's not happening.
It's just ridiculous to
Right.
even suggest. But she's going off of what Justice sort of recommended. There are people you can meet. There's people you could know at this thing, and I don't really know what else we could do about it. Just the four of us. So
"Who are you intending you converse with about this at the party?"
I don't know. I'll have my brother introduce me to some people or something. I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to the whole political situation.
There's got to
Well,
be some
perhaps-
important people there that need to know.
And also, wouldn't it be good to let one person in your family know, unless you think they're part of it?
I mean, I know who I can tell, but I don't know their involvement. I don't know anyone's involvement. Yeah.
The Chen family is not involved in anything of that sort. Don't even make assumptions of sorts like that, Chi.
I'm just
Quan says.
saying. Worst case scenario. I'm not, of course, not implying, but just worst case scenario. Just kind of, covering our bases.
Quan is right. My family wouldn't be involved in something so underhanded.
Somebody important has got to be, though. Like, I mean, what about important generals? They'll see the wall, right? They'll get reports from the people defending it.
There's something else you should know, Master Delight. We were able to work with a printing press to put out some, information regarding the ruby jasmine.
That's good. I think the first step is always getting people aware of things. I'm worried that it might cause a little bit of panic, but
No, we didn't tell them that it mind controls people. We said that it just causes a lot of distress in the bowels.
That's
What that
better.
What that means is that if anyone gets led into those weird tea party things where they're gonna make them stop asking questions, then they might go, "Oh, I don't want to drink that," and maybe I don't know, they might run away or something. I didn't think that far through.
I've been thinking about, actually, since you bring it up, I've been thinking about the alchemical setup, the device that was being used to synthesize the ruby jasmine. And she turns over towards her bed and pulls that blueprint we saw earlier out from underneath the bed and unrolls it. And it's I've been trying to remember how it works and replicate sort of a design maybe that might be able to help with nullifying any effects that sort of thing might have. There's a lot of synthesizing that would have to happen, and there's a lot of different moving parts, and I can't get them while I'm holed up here, obviously. But Justice has provided me with a small budget for my project. I didn't tell him what the project was, but and we should be able to work on it. Just because if people are already affected, then we need to find a way to unaffect them.
Yeah, we gotta find the people that have drank that tea, and then we can give them our tea. Like tea with tea.
I don't know about tea, but something. Yeah.
Well, if you could put it in tea, that would work, because I guess whoever's drunk it is the kind of person that would drink tea.
But it's
I don't know how
still the
this
kind of
works.
person who would drink tea after. But it doesn't matter. I'll think about it. I have, like I said, the plans. And she gestures to the blueprint, which makes absolutely zero sense to anybody else looking at it. It is.
Juan's looking at this and watching this conversation between John and Delight, and is thinking to herself, why couldn't I be Master Justice's guardian? Is thinking in her head. She doesn't say it out loud, but that's her thought.
Rude.
This is a downgrade. I went from heir of the house to youngest child.
But she grabs the the blueprint and like begins to roll it back up again because like obviously there's no use leaving it out, and she tucks it back away in secret under the bed location.
Very hidden, right?
Very hidden. It moves like a box in front of it or something, you know. And she turns back to the group and like sits down on her bed, and says, "So, I can start working on prototyping something that, you know, it's going to be a couple of test attempts. I didn't get a really great look at it, and honestly, we kind of broke it quicker than I'd hoped. So a lot of this is from memory. And Quan, I imagine you would have immediate flashbacks to other things being designed from memory that really don't go great.
Didn't go well.
Quan says once you kind of like finish your sentence, she's just like, "And how do you imagine testing this will work?" And she looks very concerned when she says this.
So, the only way, and I've been thinking about this a lot while I've been in here, and she waves a hand towards her desk where there are several discarded cups of tea that have rematerialized since Justice had taken them away.
Along with crumpled papers and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like towards the desk. And she says, "We get some of the ruby jasmine, someone drinks it, and then we drink the antidote. And if the antidote works, then it works."
So you're imagining testing this on yourselves?
Well, that's always felt like the most ethical way to do these things to me.
What if something goes wrong?
Well, that's why you're here.
Maybe we should find someone who... Maybe we should find someone who already drank the ruby jasmine tea and try the antidote on them.
I mean, that works too.
Well, how do we know they drank the ruby jasmine?
That's the problem. Exactly.
Ah.
We have to...
Could I like think back to see if there's like maybe some kind of
whether they've drank the ruby tea and the repercussions of drinking your antidote. You don't necessarily have the best track record, Master Delight. I'm sorry, Bonsai. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no. It's cool. I wasn't going to say anything really important. It's just dialogue. Probably. Yeah.
Well, all science goes through its test phases. Nothing works immediately. If it does, it wasn't designed boldly enough.
I have a brilliant idea. So this is a form of hypnotism, right? And I've seen a lot of shows like this. We just need to figure out a way to break it. So like saying caca or snapping your fingers. I'm sure there's a counter measurement that doesn't have to do any science.
Delight looks disappointed that she may have wasted her sciencing.
Yeah, if we just have a code word or whatever, we scare them, it'll work, right?
Well, that will take more research, but an interesting theory.
I mean, if there is such a thing, I'm sure it's noted down somewhere or someone knows it. Maybe the party might be a place to gather information about such a possibility.
Will the minister be at this?
I mean, he's attended before. She winces like, I didn't think of that.
And I think that is where we will go to break. On the realization that might be a possibility.
Oh no.
Oh no.
All right, we'll be back after the break in around about 8 minutes. So go grab a snack and all that kind of thing. We'll be back for part 2. There we go. Did it right that time. It did the transition. We did it. Okay,
Yay.
welcome back.
Get together.
Welcome back
Yay!
to Avatar Legends RPG, Episode 2, Part 2.
Yeah, we're back, and we're gonna get into it. So where we left everyone, we were sort of talking about plans for the future and realizing that maybe the person that you angered quite a bit would be someone you would have to deal with at this fancy party that you're probably gonna have to go to. So we can either flash forward in time to that situation, or if there was anything else that you wanted to do in the sort of like, you've got about a day before then, if you wanted to do anything to prepare or anything else.
So, I do have a move.
Yes,
It applies to this situation.
let's do it.
And that is that I have the walk this way move, which is when you make over disguise and or coach your friends to fit in with specific crowd appropriate to one of your backgrounds, roll creativity. And then there's like a +10, 7, 9 in this, obviously, based on what you get. But I could
Makeup montage.
Yeah, maybe Delight is like, okay, well, now we got to make sure you look like you're supposed to fit in here so that if the minister is there, it's really only me that he'll recognize, you know? Like,
I like it.
is like kind of the thought.
I had an idea. I asked Betham if he would be down, but he's gonna be looking for men.
Yes. Were you guys DMing each other about it? Oh, I love it. I'm into it. I'm so into it. Yes.
Just, can I have a face mask? I'm kind of tied to, I'll just be like, oh, the minister.
I love it. Yes.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely do. Yes.
And while they're doing that, Simon, I think that Quan is going to try to figure out who is on the guest list and see if there's any important people that we should be trying to talk to, that, or like who we should, avoid, or probably more so looking for people who Master Delight should be talking to. Probably.
Someone who could be of use to whatever it is you're trying to do. Yeah, I think just skimming the list, there's some names that you recognize and a bunch that you don't, but you're pretty tapped into the situation. I think what you're looking for is something a little bit more under the surface than just what's kind of there.
But I think we can start with the montage. I love it. And then
I think let's have you rely on your skills and training, because that's what it sounds like you're trying to do, to like parse through that guest list, which we can resolve really quickly. So your training is your background is military and urban. Actually, that's interesting. So you know some things about who's on this list, and like some people, but you don't necessarily know all the high society people, because you've been so attached to like song for a while, and then you've been out of that life, and now you're dealing with Delight, who likes to slum it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this case, we're not going to turn to a move just yet for that. I think okay, yes, obviously Minister Li Jiang is going to be here, because as the Minister of Morale, his job is to like oversee big events and parties and things like that. He's not supervising this party, obviously, but like it would be improper not to invite him to a celebration the Chens are having. You can probably guess there will be some military people, given that Song has connections to the military now. So there will probably be some high-ranking officers. There will probably be some other general nobles. Like the Chens have high status. So like at least a couple ministers might be in attendance. Some high-ranking military officials. As to whether or not they're on the take, or like could be swayed to your side, that's not quite clear to you yet. You might need to have more boots on the ground.
Yeah. I like I was saying, I think like we should do their montage, but I was thinking more that I would go talk to people than just a roll. That's what I was
Like
thinking.
ahead of time, yeah.
Yeah, like while they're doing that, that's what I'm doing.
Cool.
Yeah, because you don't, Quan doesn't need to be here for this nonsense. I wanted to ask Simon, do we know what the purpose of the party is? Is there like a central theme of this party, or like a purpose to it? Like, why are the Chens holding an event?
Yeah, I think part of it is you are the youngest, but you're also like entering society. So this is not like
oh no, it's my party.
It's partially for you. Yeah, it's not like
that's what your brother was implying.
I know, I just wanted to make sure that was the case before
it's like a 50-50. It's not quite like we're going to try and marry you off to someone. But it's more like, hey, Delight is now someone who is a political figure. Basically, like before you were supposed to be free to do whatever it is you want, but now you're old enough to have some responsibilities, and people might start trying to like sway you or get you on their side for various things like lobbying and stuff like that. Like
fun times. All right.
Yeah, it's very fun, but I think it's also a general show of the Chen's generosity.
Yeah,
that's sort of like, it's not clear what motivated it. It was like, oh yes, we should do this party for you sooner than later. But the fact that it's kind of been pushed up a little bit is a little weird.
Yeah,
it's like they want us like we just want to show people like how nice we are.
Offset some negative events, perhaps.
Right.
Yes.
Something else it might be motivating it, but it's
all right.
not cool. Yeah.
All right. Neat. So I think for our, I mean, I can make the roll if we want to.
Yeah, go ahead and roll with creativity.
So we can see like kind of what the result will be, and role play accordingly. I have 3 creativity because it's my
extremely
best,
good at it.
My best stat.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty sick.
11.
Okay. The performance is flawless. You gain access to wherever you wanted to fit in while attracting little suspicion.
Mm-hmm.
So
so we do pretty
everyone
well.
Looks great.
aside from I think this is one of those moments where it's like Delight, direct mode of dress and behavior and so forth, where it's like she knows all this stuff and she could do it if she wanted to, but she just doesn't like it. You know what I mean? She knows enough to get by for our whole group. What I'm wondering is if like on a meta scale, like if Justice knows about these guests, but does Justice know who they are? And do we like, where am I getting the supplies to do this from? Like I have money, I guess. I have resources. I could just spend it on whatever.
Yeah, so I think what Justice knew you had some friends coming, so it's like, okay, there's 2 extra people who you're gonna have with you. I think when he initially said like, yeah, I'll get them some stuff, it's whatever, you've obviously got friends, I should let you live your life. Probably it was like, I'll come back. I'll send someone to be like, what size do they wear?
Yeah, I think this is one of those like, I don't let him into the room situations.
Right. He doesn't know who these people are. He's just giving you the clothes.
Get this, that, and the other thing for me, and then bring them back here.
Right. So, and it's up to you to assemble the look.
Yeah. I will leave descriptions of the various results to my dear friends here.
Yeah, perfect.
And that Delight is sort of dressed up on par, if you know what I mean, with maybe a little fancier because it's her party,
right.
than the other 2. So Bonsai, you're excited. Give me your look.
Did Chi propose the plan?
Yeah, it was Chi's plan. Delight's
Chi,
like, Delight's
I'm
like,
gonna be known as Orchid now. I admired one of your. I actually kind of admired one of your dresses that you rejected. I think I could squeeze myself into it, so it kind of saves your brother from getting stuff. And then I have like just a shawl that kind of like I guess I still
Kinda
want my
hide
beard.
your-
I don't want to be like, oh, I'm sorry, just it's a part of my my family's culture is that I can't really show my face to anybody.
Maybe you're from the Siwang Desert, and you're sort of
Yes,
like
there you
part
go.
of the style
there you
is
go,
to
yeah.
include
Yes,
Your
yes,
sand
yes, yes,
bender.
yes.
sort of
Oh.
desert style things.
My name is Orchid. Hello. So charmed. So beautiful. I'm just
Wonderful.
excited. And
Delight,
then
Delight,
Susu, of
with
course.
the like thumbs
Susu is
up.
my slight fur wrapping that I also
Yes.
have on. It's a desert one. Yes, desert or ice stoat, because in the desert it's very hot, so you have to keep an ice stoat on you at all times.
Of course,
to cool you.
yes.
Yes. There you go.
Shen's gonna follow suit and probably is gonna he's got long hair, so he's got something to work with and tries to instead of the headband, mixes it up and tries to make something more kind of
Like there
pretty.
are plenty of ornate hair pieces
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we can
And,
we
like,
can work with.
unlike me, is clean shaven, and so probably just goes for more framing the face in a different way to look different, more feminine, and try and just disguise that in plain sight.
I mean,
Looking
Delight,
at Jen's art, I'm like, they would actually make a pretty cute girl. And you're
No,
probably
yeah, it could
it's probably one of those
definitely-
moments where you're like, oh, you look real cute.
Put in some hair loopies or something, sorted.
I mean, you can wear like fancy men's clothing too if you want. Like there's not a stricture on like who can attend. But if you
No,
want to
we're
be,
going-
if you're doing this honeypot thing, right? Like this, then yeah, you can probably put it up in with one of those extended hair pieces that goes out.
yeah.
Probably has some
Yeah,
flowers
that
or something
would
in it.
look cool.
And yeah, you've got like a very well done like contouring job with your makeup and everything.
I think Delight is just very good at like she's actually quite artistic, like
Yeah.
and so like the makeup stuff is like very easily done for her. Like the creative side of things is like something that she's good at.
You're extremely good at it, yeah.
Delight, you did
It's-
such a good job.
It's perfect. No one's ever gonna suspect it.
You
I
make a
certainly-
really pretty woman.
Hey,
I certainly would hope that no one will suspect it. Just don't draw attention to yourselves as much as possible, proper etiquette, high society stuff. She goes through like various montage of like the posture and bowing and making sure you're not doing anything that would draw attention for lower circle stuff, and just
Right. Here's the phrases and
I
expressions.
could say things, but I don't know them like on an out of game level, so.
Yeah, but on an in-game level, you know exactly what to say,
yeah.
right?
Delight goes through it all,
Yeah.
and likewise dresses herself up according to what her she goes for like exactly what it is her father would want her to look like in this circumstance.
Yeah.
She goes like full like family symbol somewhere, like the very fancy like makeup, hair up, tidy, her various technological accoutrements are missing, and she looks like an entirely different person, basically. Yeah. I want to know what Quan is doing.
Yeah, so Quan, you were gonna go talk to some people, right?
Yeah.
Talk to the song. Talk to the song.
Yeah, I'm down talking to Song. That'd be interesting. I probably do need to talk to him anyway.
There's a conversation that
Oh,
needs
yeah,
to be
there's a
had for
conversation that
sure,
needs to happen.
considering the circumstances. Yeah, so let's do that. There's like a scene, a very lighthearted scene of Delight, creating these cover stories and you're learning how to act and everything like that. And then we jump cut to the more serious, like it's late in the afternoon, or I assume this is like the day of the party that we're doing this. So it's like kind of early evening, the long shadows as the sun is setting are casting out from behind you, Quan, as you approach sort of the main receiving room for Song, who is maybe not, doesn't have a throne per se, but like has an office that's like a long hall type built a room. And Delight, what Song is old, not like ancient.
Not like
obviously.
ancient. I think
50s?
Quan is definitely older, because probably.
Right. 40s, late 40s or mid 50s, somewhere in there, yeah. What kind of a man is your father?
I think he is a very like serious, ruthless kind of guy. But in a way that is like, he has done good business his entire life, and is very like protective of like the family interests and the family interests. The family, driven, and the family interests being his interests mostly at this point, right? Like, because he's head of said family.
Right.
I imagine he has moments of like warmth with people that he's close to, and like can be a very caring person. But that all of that is secondary to making sure that like the Chen legacy is secure.
Yeah.
That there is a softer side to him. He's not like an irredeemably bad person or like even irredeemably rough. But he is certainly not casual by any means. Like, there's a lot of strict adherence to how things should be and how they will go. He's used to getting his way on that right at this point, right?
That makes a lot of sense, because it seems like he's so, this is the way things are, right? He's hard but firm.
Yeah.
If he's hard on you, it's because he cares about you, that kind of attitude, right?
That's what he says anyway.
There's an order to uphold, right? Exactly. So he is well dressed. Obviously, he's got a party to go to.
What if he's? I know I'm sort of like backseat GMing.
No, please.
What if he's like getting ready at the time? Like get the cufflinks in place.
Yeah, that's a great setup. I think he's also got like gray. He's got to have like gray hair at this point, right? Or at least like graying.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper. So yeah, he's already got like his base layers on, but he's applying like his jewelry, his like bands, all of that stuff. So he's got his back. It's not his office then, it's his like private quarters that you come into. So these are opulent. There's a massive like 4-poster bed in the middle of the room, like dressers. Delight's mother is gone, is like dealing with something else, and he's here. So all we see is like him, a fireplace, I think, of some kind, like a hearth that warms this room, which is probably like looks a little out of place for the rest of the house or for other like homes like this. And so he's illuminated by the light. The fire, he's standing by the fire as he's adjusting his like stuff. So he's lit from the front there, but the back of his body is cast in shadow, leaving that long shadow that you walk into. And he acknowledges you both as you come in without turning around. What do you do?
Got it. And I think Quan is probably dressed up in like guardsman gear, but like much nicer because it's like for the gala. Like I'm assuming we have like different
ceremonial gear.
You have a dress armor, right? Yeah, like battle dress.
Yeah, Quan, even though Lord Chen is kind of has his back to her, she still does like a very low bow with as you would for nobility and respect, and then moves forward and says, "May I?" and offers assistance with the cuff.
And he kind of looks down and lets you do it. I think as you're adjusting the cuff, he's like, "It's been a long time since anyone has helped me with that. I'm not a child anymore, Quan."
I know, but I still remember the day when you ran through these halls. It was a different time then, wasn't it?
Times change.
Yes.
Things become more complicated as you get older. People get harder to survive the harshness of the world.
Well, your father would be proud. But I see something weighing on your mind. What is it, Lord Chen?
He turns to face you for the first time. Now he's kind of a little bit in shadow and loud lit from behind. If you hadn't known me for all these years, I might comment on the familiarity of that question. But, Quan, I've known you for a long time. He reaches down and he's like adjusting his other cuff, and he asks you like very pointedly while he's doing this without looking at you, "Quan, I hope you can help me understand a question I haven't been able to find the answer to. Why were you not with my daughter when she came home the other night?"
Well, she had me fetching her friends, who you will see will be joining her this evening. It appears they're having a bit of a girls' evening. For once, I think she is respecting your wishes, Lord.
He clamps the cuff shut with like an audible clink and looks right up at you and like raises himself to as tall as he can manage. It's like, "If she were respecting my wishes, she would have been home."
Quan patiently like nods and kind of almost like in a bowing manner respectfully says,
I don't disagree, Lord Chen, but you remember the days when you were young, rebellious, had a mind of your own, a legacy that you wanted. I think your daughter has more to offer than maybe confined in these walls has to offer.
He is like clearly livid, but it sounds to me like you are trying to calm him down a little bit and like, "Hey, listen, buddy, you got to dial it back." That sounds like you're trying to comfort or support him, actually.
"I think so, yeah."
Go ahead and
It's not
roll
my
with your
best skill, but-
harmony.
All right. And I think for this, I am trying to like help Delight in this circumstance where her
I think
father
that's
is very
true.
upset
Definitely
with her.
true.
And I think maybe this is one that I would like to use my hold on, but I don't know if this is to defend her, but like in a different defense of like, it's not like a physical defense, it's a very like emotional defense. Would this apply still?
I think for me as the GM,
Yeah.
I can see that working in this context because he's clearly upset and like,
Yeah.
you know, he's come down hard on her, and if anything goes wrong, it's going to get even worse. I think in this case we can go with it because normally you're just like I'm watching out for you, but you're looking out for Delight anyway. Your ward needs to be protected from further frustrations. So let's go with it. So you get the 10
So
plus.
I would like to take a 10 plus on any move to defend or protect them.
Yeah.
And it's more of an emotional defense
Yeah.
than a physical one, which I know is weird, but yeah.
It works. It's the spirit
If it
of the
didn't work,
thing,
I would
right?
still roll too. I just
I think it's great.
Okay.
So you have one hold left on Delight.
Yes, I have one left. Yeah.
And on a hit, he must decide if he opens up to you. If he doesn't, he marks a condition, and you take +1 forward against him. If he does, you get to ask him a question. On a 10 plus, he can ask a question of you as well.
Okay.
So if either of you answer that question honestly, you can choose to clear a condition or to fatigue.
Ooh, that would be nice.
Yeah. So
I think the reason why Quan is also being a bit more sassy than normal in the sense, like, obviously she's still being respectful, but because she's angry too. So
yes,
it's like
you're like,
yeah.
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 Oh, yes. Which would
Put this at a
give you the -2 because you're
Yeah.
angry.
Mhm.
Oh, but hang on, let's double check the phrasing of that because it's 10 plus. So I think you don't actually take the penalty. If it was like as if you had rolled a 10 would be one thing because then you would take the -2. But I think if you get the 10 plus result, it's just like I get it no matter what. Great. So
that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure because I was like, I know if I roll this, it's not gonna go well because I have a -2 to it. But
right, even if
yeah.
you roll super high, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go with the 10 plus result because that's the spirit of it. So he I think will open up to you because you have this history, right? And he's like super angry, and he finally like sighs. I do remember my youth, and I remember I was not always as wise as perhaps I have grown to be. Maybe I would not be so wise had I not had your guidance at times, or the guidance of others. But I wish that I had understood the severity of consequences at her age. And as the youngest, in a time where there is so much danger in the world, how can I be assured that she will be safe from the things that are outside these walls?
Well, that is the question every parent asks, isn't it? And the answer is you can't. You can never be certain of the future and what it holds. It is an unfortunate truth of life. But what you can control is how you act and what you say to your daughter and how that affects her actions. Now, you remember the days when you were young. Yes, you weren't wise, but no matter what any adult told you, you weren't going to listen. No amount of mentorship will assist. Sometimes you must learn the hardships of life through, well, action. And the consequences those actions provide you.
That sounded pretty honest to me. What is the question you were going to ask him?
Well, your worry here about danger, Master Chen. These walls have protected many for centuries. What is this danger that you're worried and concerned about for your daughter?
And she's implying some things here because she's thinking
Yeah.
like maybe he knows something that he hasn't been sharing with people.
This is some good like playing the lines of respect versus the question you want to ask.
Yeah.
I think he he sees that, and we're like framed now so that you're side by side, so the flames are kind of coming at the like side of your face as you're in profile.
And then there's there's two shadows being casted.
Exactly, like
Yeah.
across the room.
I love
like
it.
kind of crossing each other a little bit. And he's clearly like hedging whether like how he wants to respond to that. And then he goes to the table and picks it. Well, he doesn't move. He reaches over to the table and he picks up like a clasp of rank, and he's putting it on his neck and clicking it into place and getting his shoulder guards on. There are dissidents in the city. I'm sure you are aware that everything is taking a toll on people. And there are questions that are being asked about the nature of things. Those people cannot disrupt what we have here. They would see the city fall to chaos. We cannot allow that.
Is there anyone in particular you're worried about at tonight's gala? Perhaps I can keep an eye out for you.
I should hope not. I would like to think I have vetted my guests well enough that only those who understand what it means to be a proud and upstanding member of Ba Sing Se, our beautiful city, would be in attendance. Those who have been causing problems, especially in the lower ring, they have no place here.
Has there been problem?
I have been told there are growing reports of people making waves, places, getting in scuffles. The city guard have made numerous arrests. It is clear that there is something under the surface. But I am assured by those who have solutions to problems that those troublemakers will soon be a thing of the past.
Well, people don't just cause trouble for no reason, Lord. What would be the reason for that? And why would you be involved in it?
As you know, it falls to me, as the patriarch of the Chen line, to ensure that our glorious city is well protected. To that end, our business holdings have expanded to ensure the security of Ba Sing Se and hopefully the Earth Kingdom itself, so that no future tragedies may befall us.
And that is why you have found your endeavors reaching out into the military, then.
Yes, well, I see you have been able to take in more than just my daughter's comings and goings.
I see many comings and goings. I have been here for a very long time, as you know.
As I know.
But I must provide a bit of caution and wisdom upon you, as you do your daughter. Be careful what you get yourself into, as those actions do have consequences.
He has kind of been moving around, and I think he goes to Is Song a bender?
Is Song a bender? Ooh.
I think definitely he is an earthbender. Yes.
I think you see, Quan, something that other people would not, which is that he attaches to his person like stone as defense. Like he is part of his jewelry is made of I think precious stones, right? He wears a lot of like jade and maybe has like some stone linings like in places in his sleeves and stuff like that. So he's like clearly arming himself so that he has things on hand.
Yeah, like as he's saying that, I'm saying these words of, that you
Right.
have to deal with these consequences of your actions type of
And
thing.
he's like, Quan Jinya, I pay you to protect my daughter, not to presume to tell me how to run my line. You are no
This is
longer my guardian.
Hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. Quan like puts her hands together and does like a bowing motion, and dims the flame in the fire just a smidgen, to make it a little cooler in the room, and says,
Of course, Lord Chen. I did not mean to presume anything. I'm just bestowing wisdom upon you is all. I will go back to my duties of watching your daughter.
And he like, yeah, I think there's like a very pregnant pause as you dim the fire because he knows you're a firebender. So like there's that very like pointed moment as you like remove a bit of that heat. And he as the light gets darker in the room, he's more in shadow. And he looks at you like, yes, I have entrusted you with this utmost important task because you understand the way things are done. I hope you will continue to uphold the way things are in this family.
she lowers her bow even further, and looking down and says,
Of course, Lord Chen. I will do as you wish.
See that you do. And he finishes like the last thing that you see, or like the last thing that we see in this scene is him like very pointedly affixing like a headpiece.
yeah, and I
onto
think
his-
as Quan like gets up from the bow, this very low bow, she kind of like looks at him, but very concerned, and it's almost like a look of like unfortunate sorrow, and then turns pointedly and walks almost like militaristically out the door.
Right. Woof.
Oh, heavy
The
scene.
hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Like the great thing about that scene is like, like he's saying how all these things about his daughter, but then he's doing the exact same thing. Like,
yeah.
I wish I had someone to help me to like give me some wisdom, and then he's like, I don't want your wisdom.
I am ignoring your wisdom in service of my own wisdom.
I will ask for your opinion, but what I really want is what I want to hear, right?
I would
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
hear your validation. Is what
Yes.
I'd like to hear.
I feel like in that moment you were like really keeping to your own counsel, Quan, right?
To some extent, yeah. I think she has concern about Chen, right? Like she has been watching him since he's a little boy.
Right.
She's seen him grow up, and she sees a lot of delight in delight in Chen. Like it is his daughter. Maybe he doesn't see it as much now that he's kind of grown, sturdier and stronger and taken this path of his own. But she's a little concerned about him, especially with some of the words that he said, and now the knowledge that she has about some comings and goings of the Bossing say.
Well, also that like even at a fancy dress party, he's arming himself like
Right.
to
Yeah.
be ready.
Like he's worried about something happening. But he told me that no one at the party should be of concern. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I did
So many flags. So many flags.
yeah, I did have a ability, but I wasn't sure like how to use it or if it was appropriate for the scenario, which is suspicious mind. When you watch a person carefully to figure them out, you can roll focus to like ask a question and they have to answer honestly. But I didn't want to interrupt the RP because it was good too.
Oh no, we can totally like build it in there. We can do a little rewind.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll with your focus because I think you were 100% trying to figure out what his state of mind was. That
Yeah, because he's like arming himself up. He's like telling
What's your
me
deal?
that there's something going on. Well, I thought maybe he was referring to us, but then when he talked about it more, I was like, whoa, there's something else there. Okay, let's see. 13. Woo.
Spicy, very nice. So you got 2 hold during that scene. So what you can do is spend it to ask me 1 question per hold spent, and that's me, the player, in this case the GM. One of those questions from your list.
I think the 2 questions I want to ask, as she's watching him before she like turns around and leaves, and he's like finishing the last clasp on his armor. And she gives like a very concerned look, like the in-between part. She's asking like, what are you worried about and what are you about to do?
Okay. Yes. He is, I think Song gets into a mode where he is going to hold court, like I am the most important person in the room and I need to throw my weight around to assert my dominance. The way that he's acting, like he's arming himself, not necessarily because he's expecting a fight, because he wants everyone to know that he's dangerous. Because he wants people to like understand that he's powerful. So it's like, it is for defense. He is a little nervous, I think, in general about like attackers at any time. But he also is like, what I'm about to do is show everyone I am the biggest, baddest person in the upper ring, if not the city, at this party. What he is worried about is losing his daughter. And it's so hard for him to admit. Like, he's asking you for help, and his impulse is like, but I need to control her, right? I need to tell her how things are done. There is a structure in place. There's so much of like the way that he's talking about things is like, this is the way things are done, is like, because that's what he knows. He doesn't know any other way to like try and raise a child. It's worked for everyone else. And how much of that is because everyone else knows to fall in line, or it's actually working, is unclear. It's probably the first one, right? Especially since we've established that Justice is like really good at playing the game. He's probably never had to deal with a child who actually rebels beyond like age 5 or 8 at most, right? And Delight is not having it. And he's like, this is frightening, this is strange and confusing to me that like everyone in the family does what they do for the family. That's it. That's what you do. That's what my grandparents did. That's what my parents did. That's what I'm doing. That's what my children up until now have been doing. And he's like, he's so out of his depth that if he admits that he doesn't have that kind of control, he has to admit that he's out of control. And that is scary to him.
The all-powerful leader taken down by one small child.
Yeah.
That's me sowing discontent.
The straw that breaks the camel's back, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Cool.
Ooh.
We go to the party, I guess. Let's do it.
Yeah.
This is backwards
Party
time.
time.
So
Oh,
we've
boy.
seen what everyone else looks like. We know how fancy
But I
you
have
are.
a slight conversation with the
Yeah.
light before we go to this gala.
Yeah.
Privately,
Like catch me in the hallway or something.
Yeah.
while we're
Uh-huh.
on our way.
Go for it.
Yeah.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think Quan kind of says,
Master Delight, might I have a moment?
Always. And I think Delight looks a little bit awkward because again, she looks like a completely different person.
"You're like having
dressed up
trouble
like
walking
this.
in the shoes," type
Yeah.
of thing. Or
Yeah.
are you doing the thing where you wear like super comfy shoes underneath like a big gown?
That's the way you do it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Nice
less
flats,
awkward.
long gown.
But she's still
more
she's
like
still just
can't
she
move.
looks a little out of place, but she's trying to like play it off, you know, and she's like, yeah, of course.
I had a conversation with your father.
Yeah. How did that go?
Well, you know how those conversations go with him.
I've had a few over the years. Yep.
I know I can be just as hard on you as him, but he's just worried about you.
I think the problem is that you know, he is worry and you're worried sometimes, but I know you mean well. It's
He's
sort of
used to getting his way, to having what he wants when he wants it. And your other siblings cater to his needs in that regard. But
I don't
there's
think
more of him in you than you know.
more. You're saying I'm like him?
Well, one does not get to that position without ruffling a few feathers here and there. He just goes about it in a way that, well, fits the traditions. And I think that's what he wants for you.
Well, I mean, tonight is going to be about trying to repair that bridge a little bit, but also, you know, we can't forget our important task. It's going to be a little difficult, I think, to balance those two things. They have this fear that if I push too hard, then he'll like realize or think or I don't know, come to some conclusion that I'm not worth the effort.
Oh, Delight. Master Delight, you have nothing to worry about on that front. Your father, he cares greatly about you. He might not have the time to show it or be able to show it in the way that you are expecting. You know, parents, their worry is always for their children. And your father wants to leave you with a legacy that, well, he hopes that you can grow into, that you will have something for yourselves when he's no longer here to protect you.
And maybe I can, but none of that will matter if everything outside of Ba Sing Se is destroyed. And then the
I
city
have other
itself.
concerns as well. I think she might be right. And your father might have more to do with what is happening than we think. There were some words that he said, and I worry about where his actions have taken him to get to where he is now.
On real quick. I think you're comforting or supporting Delight.
I am.
So earlier, because you answered Song's questions honestly, you got to clear a condition.
Yes.
And everyone can clear all of your fatigue because you had like a day's
Yay.
rest
Oh,
as
nice.
well.
Nice.
Yeah, in the
if you had
comfy delight room.
right.
Let's see if I can get rid of some of your conditions, because I know you've got a couple.
You're feeling it. You're feeling the heat.
Yeah.
I'm currently
Um,
foolish and insecure. Yes. Correct.
Yeah. So I was thinking I could maybe help you out with that. So we'll see how this goes. Mixed a 7.
Okay.
Comfort.
So on that 7 and 9, so first Delight has to decide if she opens up to you or not.
I think she does. There's no reason she wouldn't.
It makes a lot of sense. So you get to ask Delight a question, and if Delight answers that question honestly, she can clear a condition or two fatigue that she doesn't have.
I love meta. I love meta questions. Hit me up.
Yeah. I think Quan looks at you and says,
If this is true, I don't want it to ruin the relationship you have with your father. But what do you think we should do?
I think the first thing I always do when I feel like I don't know what to do is ask Justice. And then after that, maybe we can make a plan.
What if Justice is part of this? You know, him and your father are close. They work quite well together.
They don't agree on everything. I just can't see him being a part of this necessarily. But I don't know. You asked me what I do. That's what I do.
Well, sometimes we don't see all the parts of someone, and they do things that are questionable that you would never think they would do.
and Quan is actually like internally processing what Song is doing and being.
I was gonna
like,
say this subtext is just like
Yeah. Yeah.
At the very least, after the party, I'll have a serious talk with my father. I think that's important. It's got to shake out one way or the other. Maybe I can convince him that it's not as good a plan as it seems. I don't know. I have to try.
I think there's gonna be more than just words that need to be said. I don't know if that's going to help in this scenario.
Well, then we should make sure that everybody's ready.
Quan kind of nods and
Start with words, go from there. Make some noise if we have to.
Well, to your gala, I suppose.
Oh yeah, and I feel like there's a shot down the hallway of like Jian and Chi like walking ahead. You know what I mean? Like and Delight sort of turns to try and like catch up with them.
Yeah, as like the transition shot. Like, hey, whoop, there they go.
yeah. And Quan kind of watches the three of them walk away, and the look on her face is like concern and sadness, and then she'll like militaristically start following them down the hallway, keeping an eye out.
Juan is so good.
One, what do you believe in most in this moment? Is it you have to keep an eye on everyone else, or you're sort of like trusting in everyone else's ability to handle themselves?
I don't think Quan believes that she can like there's no control she has over, like, her years of wisdom have told her there's nothing she can control as much as like Song wants to control everything. That's just not going to happen. No one can do that. But what she can control is, herself and her actions and what knowledge she bestows upon people, whether they take it or not. And I think from her perspective, she's just kind of like prepared for whatever might happen, but she has kind of like a sense motive or insight internally that is giving her like the heebie-jeebies. Like she's like, something bad is going to happen and there's nothing she can do to really stop it. She just has to do whatever she can. And it's almost like a helpless feeling to some extent. And that's why she's so sad, is that she's like, I don't know what I can do other than, my job, which is to protect Delight.
I'm trying and I'm not getting anything in return, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and shift your balance towards self-reliance, away from trust.
All right.
So we cut to this party, which is nice. I think there's musicians that are playing like a beautiful tunes. There's food being passed around. Obviously, like fine drinks. The wait staff are sort of like drifting around, and everyone who's anybody in the upper ring is here tonight in this ballroom. Not the ballroom you saw before. A different ballroom.
The nice ballroom.
On the other side of the house. The nice ballroom, right. It's huge, high arches, the earthbending sculptures like as reliefs like coming out of the walls, showing various members of the Chen lineage. So they've just been like molded out of the stone. So it's like they're coming out of the earth, like coming out of the wall almost, showcasing like their various deeds or personality traits. It is just like incredibly opulent in here, as everyone's like, but you, at least Gian and Chi are able to kind of drift around like we belong here more or less.
The disguises are perfect and therefore they're good to go. Wouldn't be recognized,
Right.
I gotta see them RPing with random nobles. Like I just need to experience, like, I know it's not like big important stuff, but it's like I just want to see the interactions they have with some random
I want
NPCs.
as a GM, part of my agenda is to be a fan of your characters, which I am.
Yeah.
And I want to see like what does this look like? Gian or Chi, what are you doing as you come into this party and you're like mingling?
I'm definitely nervous as we go in, and I just lean over to Chi like, so what do we do? Just like talk to people, or just kind of hang around?
I don't quite know. I think she said, Delight said to like stand up straight and don't chew with your mouth open. Wait.
Is there food?
Just what is your name in this? Yes. What are you calling yourself?
Jin. Oh, I can be Jin.
You. Okay, yes, Jin, that works. Just call me. I'm Orchid. Does my voice sound right? Orchid. Of
Sure,
the desert. Yes. I mean, I hope. Do we need to thank the brother at any point? Or should we not talk at all
I don't know.
to any of the family members?
Talking might give us away. I don't know. We got to keep an eye out for Li Zhang.
Okay. Yes.
But
Look
not
at the food.
look like we're keeping an eye out. We're just here at this party gala thing, doing gala things.
Yes, gala things.
As you're talking, like a servant comes by with a tray of like finger foods, and just like wordlessly stands in front of you with the tray.
It's like a. Oh, thank you. And I take one.
I will also take one, and with the pinky out, because I'm pretty sure that's what Delight said to do.
Fancy people
I see that
eat
and I
their
copy,
drink like this, right?
Yes.
I see that. Yeah, like oh.
And then
Just
Like,
like
you need it hard-
underneath the
Under the scarf, right? They just pass off. They've gone. So you're the two of you are kind of like having your conversations and doing what you do. I think you notice that there are some people looking at you, like from across. Like everyone's like talking to everyone. There's a few people like eyeing you from like a couple of. There's some standing tables from a couple of standing tables over, and keep like nudging and like looking over.
I don't know what else. Like we're kind of looking for where Delight is also because
Delight, I imagine Delight has been immediately pulled to speak to someone or another. Like if this is like her party, quote unquote,
Right.
even 50%, it's like her attention is gonna be fully deviated a lot of the time to whatever important upper ring person or another.
Yeah, you walk in, you're kind of like drifting, you know, you're kind of nodding at people, right? And somewhere in there, Justice appears and like scoops you up. You made it. So glad to see you.
I told you I'd try my best to be here.
You tried. You succeeded.
Yeah, I really tried today.
You did. I know that can't be comfortable for you. I'm impressed that you put in the extra effort.
Well, Father will be happy.
He kind of like winces a little bit, like, okay. Well, we should make the rounds. And he starts like walking you around to various people. Quan, what are you doing?
I think Quan is kind of following the three of them with her eyes, particularly obviously Delight, but staying at a distance and kind of
At a
more
respectful
like
distance, right?
almost like a wide observation, kind of looking for anything suspicious, anyone who might be doing something wrong or looking out of place, that kind of thing, or taking any aggressive actions towards anyone.
You got that wide angle.
Yeah. Just like, you know, arms crossed, like kind of peering out.
Yeah, so you're taking it all in. We jump back briefly to John and she, where the two people that have been kind of looking at you across the way, kind of like one of them shoves the noble like off the table, who kind of like takes a few steps forward and like swirling a glass in his hand, and he kind of like sidles up to the two of you like, listen, hey, I'm sorry, my friends and I were just talking and we decided that we just could not leave tonight without having a conversation with two of the most interesting people we've seen here. Everybody else is just, you know, such high strung, but the two of you, I knew I'd never forgive myself if I didn't have a conversation with you by the end of the night.
Oh, it is please, all the pleasure is mine. I am Orchid of the Desert Flower, but you may call me Orchid.
Orchid, I like it. Floral. He like takes your hand and he gently like brushes his lips up against it. And who is your friend?
Oh, I'm Jin. I'm here from Amashu.
Amashu, ooh, that's a long trip. Wow, the two of you have been from all ways away.
It's
Listen.
such an important gala to be at. We had to come visit.
Of course, Delight is a dear friend of ours, and we wouldn't miss her event.
Your friends of Delight. Ooh. And he looks back. There's two other friends. It's like, listen.
This guy clearly lost.
I don't know if you
the
believe in fate.
embarrassing straw draw on the who's gonna like start this conversation.
I don't know if you believe in fate, but there's three of you and three of us. And why don't you come back to our table? And he's like, like takes your hand. Let me get you a drink. He like was reaching out, and he starts like gently
Ooh,
tugging
strong
you.
hand. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Very strong. And I'm sorry, what was your name? I'm sorry. I just, I just wanted to know, of course, what young, strapping young fellow like yourself.
He's like, woo, you're a charmer. I'm Tang, and that's Sun, and that's Bo. And we're all gonna get to know each other really well by the end of the night, I'm sure.
I'm very sure, yes.
That sounds
I'm
great.
sure you have very great. I'm sure that you have such knowledge about what's going on because we are, of course, new to the city and we don't quite know what the happening is around here. What would you know? Can you please enlighten us? Because sometimes it's just so hard to just get the new layout of the land. I'm new to the city. If you please just tell me more just about yourselves and about your beautiful bossing say.
So he's gotten you back to the table at this point, and he's like, "Hey, Tian, Bo, listen, these ladies are new to the city. They need someone to show them around and get to know the place." And Bo's like, "Why? Let me tell you something. This party's great, but if you want to have a really good time, there's a noodle shop just around the corner. It's a great spot, very exclusive, very intimate lighting. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very cozy. And if we get bored of this this dive, I'll show you where a real good time. We'll have a nice dinner, a little something, It's like, we have to walk through the botanical gardens. It's just not a trip to Bossing Say without a visit to the gardens. Like you're like trying to get out useful information, and these guys are determined to be like, we know everything. We're gonna impress you as best as we can.
I'm like, maybe that sounds great, but maybe we shouldn't stray too far from the party. We gotta be here for our friend.
That's right. And he like turns over to Bo. He's like, "Hey, Bo, listen. Orchid, Chin, they say they are personal acquaintances of Delight Chen." And he points over to Delight, who is being dragged around.
Yeah, who's being
with
shepherded
Justice.
by her brother, yeah.
Right. And the both of them are like, whoa. And so the three of them share a look. And then like you see like one of them kick each other under the table as they clearly have some sort of unspoken conversation. We cut over to Delight, leaving you in the company of these three nightmares.
These guys.
Delight,
Yes.
Justice has like been showing you around to like, this is so and so. This person runs like the shipyard, not the shipyard. There's no water around here. There's a lake. But this is so and so. This is this person. This person runs this family. This is someone you need to know. Here's General Blah. And
I think Delight is absorbing as much of that information as you are providing in terms of like names and stuff. She's like, great, like makes introductions, but then as soon as she's like moved away from them, she's forgotten who they are.
Right. And the two of you back at this table, I think, notice, because you're like probably zoning out from these three guys who have nothing of use to offer you, that you Delight, you hear, "Oh goodness, Justice, my dear boy, so nice to see you. I must have a word." And you see from behind Jian and Qi, Minister Li Jiang in finery is approaching the two of them with a wide smile, and Justice is like starting to wave Li Jiang over.
Yeah, I think Delight is trying her best not to look concerned.
Yeah.
Polite smile, dip your head slightly.
Yep.
Like be good. Don't ruin anything.
Yeah. So Justice like reaches very deferential, like, oh, Minister Li Zheng, a pleasure for you to grace us with your presence this evening. Delight, this is Minister Li Zheng, the Minister of Morale. Oh, Justice, I'm so sorry to embarrass you like that. We've already met.
Yes, the minister and I have crossed paths before. Very, like she just tries to like play it off, like it's very nice to see you again.
Yes, what a incredible fortune that we would have to share a carriage together. Oh, I only wish that journey was longer, that we might have had more time to get to know each other better. But there is no time like the present, isn't there?
No, of course, if you'd like to speak, I have time, though. There are many people to meet. I've been getting a lot of introductions, but I can spare some time to talk.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Yes. Reaches for a drink and just grabs it like as if it's nothing, just like doesn't even look away, and takes a sip.
I feel like Delight is feeling particularly naked because she doesn't have any of her gadgets with her.
Tools or anything like that.
Out of there, yeah. She's just like at this party. The only thing preventing anything bad from happening is like the veneer of social nicety that this is a party, and there are lots of people who are influential around who, if they see things happen, so she's just trying to play that off as best she can. But she looks to her brother and says, like, I'll catch up with you in a little bit. I'll speak with the minister for a little while.
Of course. It seems like you have some catching up to do. I'll see what father needs. And he kind of pats you on the shoulder.
Is Song here yet, by the way? Like, is he like visible somewhere in this throng of people?
I think he is at the like far end of the room. Like, yeah. Holding court, like surrounded by a bunch of other people. Like, he's telling a story and everyone else is just like enthralled.
Yes, the polite laughter of people listening to someone's
story. Oh, of course. Oh my. Right.
What a story.
So I'm just left alone with Li Zheng.
You are left alone. Quan is a respectful distance. You can see Quan. You're not sure if Li Zheng has seen Quan.
Quan is following, but like safe distance following.
Right. So I think the two of you are like drifting through the party. What are Jian and
my eyes
Chi
dart to Jin and Chi as I begin following what I see happening.
Notice this happening?
Yeah, you see Li Jing approach Delight, and then Justice walks off, and the two of them just start like kind of drifting through the party.
Oh, okay. I think, I'm so sorry, dear, but, Jin, my dear, I need to go ahead and we must excuse ourselves. We need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I just don't want to go by myself. I don't know this area. But it was so delightful to meet all of you, Bo, and then, Tang, and you, handsome.
Right, there's that other one. But
of course.
You gotta go. So, no, it's okay.
There's just delicate things, that we must do as women in the bathroom. And of course, you being a fine male specimen as yourself, I just, it wouldn't be dignified for you to follow us.
Bo like shoves him, like, the lady tells you she's got to powder her nose. You let her go. Like, come on, be cool. And the three of them are like,
yeah, so
I'll see you around.
Oh, yes.
And then a quick turn, immediate change.
Yeah, just kind of like go to the area kind of where the bathroom is, but
you're
also
like all in the vague vicinity, and then you double back, right?
Double back to be like, kind of like nonchalantly, like wherever they're having their conversation for Delight and the minister, just kind of introducing ourselves to a crowd of people that are right by them, but also kind of, we're short, we can kind of avoid the table over there.
Yeah, you're like listening in while not participating in this conversation. So you all can hear what each other is, what at least Delight and Li Jing are saying. And if you want to jump into that scene, that's totally fine. You can easily break away and be like, oh, excuse me, and like do something. So Li Jing is like is walking and talking with you, like, and Delight, I understand that you will be inheriting some of the responsibilities of managing the Chen family.
My father has seen that I've come to an age where it's important that I inherit some degree of personal and family business responsibility. Yes, she says, like in a way that like you would at a party, just like trying to keep up the like casual chatter.
Yeah. Yes. You're old enough now to make your own mistakes.
Well, of course, but those mistakes are still connected to all the assistance that my influential family has in the city.
Li Jing smiles, this big, toothy, like, you little weasel kind of smile. That's like, God, what I would say if we weren't in polite company, like, oh, it's like that, right?
I'm just saying, you can make your own illusions, and I'll make my own illusions.
Exactly, right. It's like,
I love the underhanded talking to each other, like, we've met before in this carriage, and then like it's like you've got responsibilities. Yes, I do.
I must say, Delight, there is one particular issue that's weighing on my mind of great public importance.
And what would that be, Minister?
Well, I have heard from the Ministry of Health that there is a public health crisis in our fair city. And goodness me, I have never heard of such a thing until, why, this morning, when it was all that you could hear across at least several neighborhoods of the Lower Ring.
Really? What health crisis would that be? I've been very busy getting ready for the gala.
I'm sure you have. There are many things that require your attention, I'm sure.
Of course.
It would be
now more than ever.
It would be unsurprising if something like this did not make its way across your desk yet. You see, there is a terrible, terrible outbreak of a... Well, it's not quite polite to speak of. But food poisoning, I suppose, is the nicest way to say it. Of a new product, this ruby jasmine tea, that I was shocked to hear reports that there are posters plastered all across the Lower Ring to the effect that the Ministry of Health themselves, with the assistance of House Chen, say that this is a very dangerous product.
Well, I mean, if the Ministry of Health says so, then I can't think of any better course of action than to recall all of this obviously tainted ruby jasmine from the public until it can be properly resolved.
Li Jing like smiles. A wise course of action. Although, and this is where things become a little complicated, my Lady Delight, I understand that the Chens grow this ruby jasmine. Now, I'm sure you would not want your family's sterling reputation to be tarnished by an association with such a dangerous plant.
I'm sure if they knew the risks, that they would flatly agree with my thoughts on the matter. It may just be that my father has yet to hear of the challenges that such a product presents.
Yes, I imagine that Lord Chen would be simply apoplectic if he were to know that his family, who has done so much for Ba Sing Se, has contributed to the physical ailment of the citizenry.
I'm sure there's something we can do to remedy the situation.
Yes.
she's
Now.
like she's like really not doing very well in the subtext right now. She's like,
Yeah.
what do I say?
We would not want dangerous things like this ruby jasmine to affect the good, hardworking people of Ba Sing Se, would we?
No, of course.
Of course not. I'm glad to see that you have your people's best interests in mind.
I have always thought that anything that works to the furtherment of Ba Sing Se and the Earth Kingdom is worth pursuing.
Yes. Anything that is worth doing for the sake of the Earth Kingdom. What an interesting choice of words, my dear. I wonder if you truly believe what you said.
I think there's such a thing as doing more harm than good. And that we all have to balance those things against each other. But if you'll excuse me, I have other guests to see to.
And you start to turn, and Li Jing, like, gently but firmly just like grabs your wrist for just a second.
Ooh, no
He's like-
touchy.
And he realizes what he's done as you like like you probably respond, right?
When
You're
she
like,
when she's grabbed, she turns to like look at him, and she gives him like a hard look, like, do you want to do this? Like,
Right.
I like.
and he immediately like he's let his veneer drop for like just a second.
Just a
and
second,
he immediately knows this is not what either of us wants to do right now, especially not me. And he lets you go. And he's like, yes, see to your guests. I will leave you with this, Lady Delight. We do things for the good of our people, you and I. That is what we are bound by duty to do, by tradition and by law. I wish to see that our city not fall to chaos. When you feel the flames of change pushing down on you, we will have to make choices for the safety of our people. I hope you understand that we only do the things that we think are right in this life.
And I think, Minister, that you give our people too little credit, and that there's a lot that could be done in the open. And she sort of like turns to go. She says, as a parting phrase, she says, do enjoy the party. Try the cabbage wraps. They're delicious.
And someone comes by with them, like as you're mentioning it, right? Right, please. And that's like where we see this, you like walk away, the camera like tracking that shot, zooming out wider and wider as Li Jiang just stares at you with that like menacing smile
I'm in
and
trouble.
gently narrowed eyes.
So
I
good.
think I think that's where we call it for the
Yeah,
week.
I think that's such a good end
So good.
scene.
Nice.
That whole conversation. So good.
My God, the subtext.
So much subtext. I love it. I'm living for it.
All right, we'll go through announcements, and then we'll go through where you can find people, and then we're gonna head off and record an after show, which of course you can check out.
This is
on
gonna be a
Patreon
good
in the
after
coming
show. I'm
days.
excited.
So yes, announcements for today. Today's supporter was Thunder Cabbage. Thank you very much, Thunder Cabbage, for supporting today's episode. Very thematic, considering. Basically a shoo-in. There's plenty of stuff going on the Patreon right now. The final GM secrets for our maid show from Entrelysium are out. All of the secret behind-the-scenes gummins that he was working with to run that campaign. There's plenty of other stuff coming as well. We've got the monthly recap on the way. We've got a character sheet for our latest Ascension guest, played by Patrick Static, and lots more Ascension stuff as well from E in terms of GM content. We'll also be putting up the character sheets for this show as well, so keep an eye out for those. And plenty more to come on top of that. We're sponsored by Roll20. They are great for playing tabletop games on, because they support practically every RPG that is in physical print, and some that aren't. It's great. So you can easily roll whatever dice you want to roll with your friends online. We sometimes do giveaways of things that of rulebooks that you can get on Roll20 as well, so keep an eye out on our Twitter for that. And at some point we're going to be changing out our stream alert stuff, and you may never see the cup again. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Well,
Maybe there'll be a
they have
new
other
replacement cup.
versions. Yeah.
It'll be different.
I don't think it'll
we get
change
around to
too
it.
much from their perspective, but on the internal side, it'll be different.
You can have stream pets too. That's
Mhm.
also a cool
There's all
thing.
kinds of different things you can do.
Yeah. I like it. There's so many possibilities. You can also, soon on the Patreon, if you keep an eye out, there'll be a post where you can submit details to get a special gift in a couple months, in a month or so's time. So keep an eye out for when you can do that. And yeah, we'll be maybe sending you something. Also, in 3 minutes' time, the MP3 and after show for the latest Ascension episode will be out on the Patreon as well, so you can check those out. Let's go through where you can find people, and then we'll check it for tips as well. Let's start today with our latest and final addition to the team, Delight, Distracted Elf. What
Lady
are you doing? Where
Delight.
can we find you?
Oh, hello. I am Distracted Elf. You can find me at twitch.tv/DistractedElf or on Twitter at DistractedElf. I do a bunch of tabletop stuff. I also do video game streaming. If you follow my Twitter, that's the easiest way to know what I'm going to be doing. Currently, I'm running I'm into tabletop games on my own channel, twitch.tv/DistractedElf. One on Tuesdays, which is called The City is the End. And it's kind of like I don't know how to describe The City is the End. Like, you have to go and see it to truly experience it. And then on Wednesday evenings, we're doing Blades in the Dark. We've done our first episode, and I was so hype about it that I made a little audio log to put on YouTube as well. So it's, there's content coming for that as well. So check that stuff out.
All right, what about Maggie? What are you doing? Where can we find you?
Hey, I'm Margaret Crone, and you can find me at Margaret Crone in all of the places, because that's my name, and that's where you can find me. I do a lot of things on the internets. Today is Saturday, so my next thing will be on Tuesday. If you want to come check that out, it will be over at twitch.tv/thebubberknot, where we're playing Pathfinder. I play Oz, a hobgoblin wizard. with a pet chicken named Pecker. It's good times. Definitely want to check it out. But yeah, I do lots of tabletop stuff. So if you'd like to see more of that, definitely just follow me. I'll let you know whenever I'm live. I'm on a whole variety of channels. And I also make video games and games for a living. I'm currently working on a video game called Ashes of Creation, and you can find it at Ashes of Creation in all of the places. That's me.
And what about Banzai?
Hello, everybody. My name is Bonsai Baby here on Twitch and Bonsai Baby on Twitter. I also host for Gen Con, so if you want like board game related news, you can see me there. And also, I'm doing a separate game on Friends Who Roll Dice, doing Hyper Life Drifter. So if you're interested in those kind of RPGs, just follow me on Twitter is the easiest way to figure out where else I am. But if you want also learn how to build things, just check me out on Twitch.
And of course, our GM, Simon, what are you up to?
Hi, everybody. My name is Simon. You can find me on Twitter at Lucha Libris. I write and publish tabletop role-playing games at colorspraygames.itch.io. I am a pro GM, moderator, and freelance writer for Magpie Games. So I'm very delighted to showcase Avatar Legends with you all in that capacity. I am also a voice actor for the queer sci-fi and fantasy audio drama, The Penumbra Podcast. If you want to hear yourself represented in stories, that's at The Penumbra Pod on Twitter, thepενumbrapodcast.com.
And of course, I am Bentham. You can find me in various places under the unfortunate but now basically unchangeable name Mangled Pork, where I play various games. We've got lots of multiplayer stuff going on at the moment, and I'm even keeping to the schedule mostly. On Sundays, we're playing Barotrauma multiplayer. On Tuesdays, we're playing Space Engineers, and on Fridays, we're playing Phasmophobia. And of course, I'm also on the Thursday show, Dungeons & Dragons Ascension, where I am trying to uncover the great mysteries about the entire universe and helping rescue Maggie's character's brother.
Which
that's it.
we found him finally. It just took us a while.
Yep, we've done step 1 is find him. Step 2 is get him home. They're both equally difficult.
We're currently stuck in a blood sacrificial ziggurat. So if you're interested in watching a dungeon crawl, come check us out on Thursday. Right here, twitch.tv/roll for it.
In that world's equivalent of like Jurassic Park Australia as well, just to add some.
Yeah, it is kind of this area, the Beast Isles. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go record an after show. Thank you for watching. Next time you can find us is of course same time next week for episode 3, and the next time you can find Roll for It is for Dungeons & Dragons Ascension at the same times of day but on Thursdays. So
10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. UK.
Yep, and so we will see you next time. May the dice roll ever in your favor.